Jen!
Yes, dear. Well, I'm getting.
Hey, everyone! While Mo is getting. Thank you, Connie Marie, for becoming a member, and Jason.
Thank you.
Must say, I was sitting here and I seen that end pop up, and I was like, "No,
I know. I was like, "What are we saying?"
Yeah,
Thank
I was
you
coming
so
back
much.
and what's he trying to spell?
And we met our goal. Thank you, Jason J. So Cape Bev will be coming in. And sorry, Mr. Mo is. Scott, I am streaming.
May I inquire? I'm so sorry. I did it
use
again.
real names.
Thank you.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. The beauty of live streaming. I hope you had something to eat. Mo has now got into embarrassed mode. And again, if you can spare
her face is redder than her hair. How did that happen?
Damn it all to hell.
I love it.
If you were not with us this morning, interesting day. A few motions have been filed from the state. They wanted to exclude some evidence and have a idea. We had that. They are not allowed to talk about certain things with Proctor's friendship with the McAlberts, which I can understand. It's hard to get in through him. But we also have a motion to allow the Aruba sisters to come in and testify about the matter of their relationship, which I think is absolutely bonkers if she allows that. We had a good morning for the defense, in my opinion. Bukaki, can I say he looks a little bit deflated? He didn't have a great weekend. Most muted.
She's got her buttons backwards.
No,
I'm just saying
trying
that
to keep you from noise.
No, I was just trying to set up so we can get going. But I think he looked a little deflated this morning.
Well, yeah. After the weekend, I'm sure.
I thought he would come back with some pep in his step.
No, I think he's really nervous about not having a job.
Yeah, even someone with his cognitive impairment has to know that it's not going well.
I'm not sure, Bad Duck. It's like Snarf, but a little different.
And thank you, Tons of Fun. So
thank you guys so much.
$5 super sticker. Now Mo can get to her playing, not paying. Oh, the grift is real. Now I'm.
Only if you pay me more do we go to cross paying.
I'm gonna go full DSP. Hey, you guys. Hey. It's not been a good day, you guys. I have to stream. I pay for YouTube Premium, you guys. Come on now.
Just before the lunch break, Sergeant, I asked whether you had engaged in a discussion with the Commonwealth at a prior proceeding in which you were shown a video and you talked about the fairness and accuracy of that particular video in the Sally Port when the SUV was first pulled in. And you did indicate that it was fair and accurate, correct?
Yes, back then, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to play a bit of that video, if I could, please, with the court's permission.
Hey, is it in evidence?
It is not. I would ask that we mark next in order. Thumb drive.
I don't know. He should be in more trouble than that.
Were we marking this for identification, or is there an agreement it's going into evidence?
I'd like it in evidence.
We agree with the stipulation that it's authentic.
I'm not going to argue metadata issues or inconsistent issues. So.
All right, so is there a stipulation that this is authentic? Okay, so folks, again, a stipulation means the parties agree, and with that, I will allow this into evidence as the next exhibit. Madam Court Reporter?
That's it.
Okay, now you may display it.
Thank you.
I've always been told never trust a fart, but maybe that's what expert calls the Karen.
Could we play beginning? What's the runtime, Mr. Wolk? 5:37:03. This is at 5:37:03. If we could just play this forward for a couple of seconds. A little bit further. Pause. Do you see what's depicted in this video?
Yes, I do.
This is the video that you were shown at a prior proceeding, correct?
Yes, it is.
Does this appear to be the interior of the Sallyport at Canton PD?
Yes, it is.
And this is what you were questioned about regarding the SUV being pulled into the Sallyport, correct?
Yes.
From a time frame standpoint, just the time frame, this is right after the SUV has been driven in from the flatbed after having been seized in Dighton, correct?
Yes, it was driven off of the flatbed after transportation from Dighton to Canton PD and driven into the Sallyport.
All right. You previously have identified individuals in this video, in this still shot, correct?
Yes.
And what you previously said, and then we'll get to subsequent testimony in a second, you previously indicated that the person to the right was you, person to the left, Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes, previously I identified that being Michael Proctor. I was mistaken. That is not me on the right.
That would be the tow truck driver, correct?
That's correct.
That is, in fact, Michael Proctor, however, in the two-tone jacket, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And as the video is portrayed, at least as we're looking at it, and I'll get to the next question next, as we're looking at it, it appears that we're looking at the right passenger side of the vehicle, as it appears in this video, correct?
That's correct.
And you see a timestamp and a date stamp on the bottom, correct?
It is present. I don't know what it says.
Okay, can we highlight that just a little bit? Can you see what that says?
I believe it says interior Sallyport back wall.
Okay.
537, maybe.
Okay. When you indicated that this was a fair and accurate depiction of the interior Sallyport when the SUV was brought in, you were specifically asked whether or not you or Michael Proctor approached or manipulated or touched the right rear taillight area of the vehicle, correct?
I don't remember the exact verbiage used.
Close enough,
And-
though, Yuri.
Thank you so much, Linda Early, for the $30. Again, I appreciate it so much. Thank you. To help with pain relief. Thank you. Have a great day.
But in something along those lines, that's what was asked.
And you indicated that neither of you did, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But in point of fact, this video is backward, correct?
Yes, it is a mirror image of what is actually taking place as recorded by the camera.
Can we play this forward? Yes. Do you see where Mr. Proctor, let's go ahead and pause it.
Huh.
Do you see where
What are
Mr.
you doing
Proctor
there,
went?
Proctor?
Yes, the video depicts him going to that portion of the vehicle, but we can't tell how close he is.
Okay. And the back, from all appearances, importantly, it appears to be the back driver's side, back left of the vehicle, correct?
That's the way it appears, yes.
Let's play this forward for a second. Pause. Can I ask you to pay special note to the far rear side of the vehicle? Do you see what appears to be Mr. Proctor's head?
Yes.
As the tow truck driver walks past the rear of the vehicle, can you watch and tell me if you see Mr. Proctor do anything or move in any way? Let's go ahead and play it forward. Pause. Did you see any volitional movement by Mr. Proctor as the tow truck driver moved past him?
Yes, it appears if that is his head, it shifted weight.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it forward.
This is way better interrogation than the first trial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if this video is clearer or something, but I don't see all the ghosting we had the last time.
Well, that person just appeared,
Stop.
didn't they? Or is that the tow truck driver?
Wasn't it Proctor going back?
No, Proctor's still standing there, I think.
Yeah, isn't he he's behind the car doing fiddling because his head's
Pause.
still there. Just
Did you see any volitional movement by Mr. Proctor as the tow truck driver moved past him?
But what I took notice of was him shifting his head kind of like I'm just looking, and then he shifted his weight like he was pulling a piece of taillight, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, it appears if that is his head, it shifted weight.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it forward. Stop.
Yeah,
That person
That was
just
Did you see a
appeared out of
person that
nowhere.
appeared to morph toward the back of the vehicle?
Oh, I should just
Right
have
there.
let it play.
There is some anomaly there with the footage, so it
Some
could possibly be
anomaly.
used to describe that what took place.
Can you
Anomaly.
recognize that person?
Poltergeist?
I cannot know.
You indicated previously, does that person look large or small in stature
I can't tell.
as compared to, for instance, Michael Proctor, whose head you can see above the car? What about this person? Taller, shorter than Michael Proctor?
I can't tell from here. I can't.
You indicated that Chief
Tully or Berkovich?
It looks like an older person just the way they're hunched, but that could
Yeah,
be
but it's
because of when
cold
they're
out,
cold.
so
Yeah, so it's speculative at best.
Berkowitz was a smaller statured person, correct?
I never said that.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know his height.
Larger or smaller? Generally. How about this? Larger or smaller than you?
He's shorter than me.
Okay. Can you tell whether or not that is Chief Berkowitz?
I cannot know.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it for him. And a little bit further. Pause. What does it appear that Mr. Proctor does at this point in the video?
He's walking.
Okay. Do you see anything in his hand?
Oh, that remember they talked about that folder in the hospital on the chair?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I cannot tell from the video.
Since I can't throw a real tomato, here's a super chat. In Island, we do have tomato emojis.
Also, you guys, do you find it strange that a detective who is supposed to have exceptional observational and, contemporaneous information gathering skills is unable to identify anything and never remembers anything?
Well, you can't remember stuff if you're trying to cover up a crime, Mo. Otherwise,
Well, he's
you'll
the
get
only
in
one
trouble.
whose memory hasn't gotten better in 3 years.
Well, I mean, I know he only trusts himself, but himself even seems to have memory problems close to the incident.
Jackson seems absolutely exhausted. You can hear him sigh over the witness being so hostile and unwilling to answer simple questions. Yeah, and that's
That was
why I think it was a good time for him to break because he was getting frustrated. But let's see how it goes.
But he might be carrying something.
Remember we looked previously at a portfolio, black portfolio. Does it appear that he may have a black portfolio in his hand?
That is very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward.
Thank you, T-Rex.
Okay. And did it appear that
Where'd that guy
he
come
just
from?
appeared at the front right, the right-hand side of the screen toward the front of the SUV as well?
What the?
Yes, it appears that way. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's take this down. I'd like to mark.
Yeah. They are way more prepared this time than they were the last time with this video. I think they were dumbfounded with the inverted video when they found out.
Electronic device, a thumb
Oh,
drive.
yeah.
It has
And thank you so much, Slinky. Yuri uses the Sergeant Schultz defense when it suits him. Well, yeah.
another video on it, Your Honor. I'd like to have that marked as next in order.
So does most of us.
no objections, right?
No objection, thank you.
It's better than the Shaggy defense.
It wasn't me.
Less lyrical, though.
With the court's permission?
Yes.
I think a lot of the videos we've seen seems brighter because they
No.
don't have as much light in the room.
Sergeant,
Yeah.
what is this show?
It appears to be the mirror image of the previous footage. I don't know the exact timestamp there, but
You mean
Can
the
we increase
actual
the,
footage?
The date and time? Do you see, can you read the date and timestamp on this Chiron?
I cannot know.
It's because it's backward, correct?
I can't read it. I can't make a note, sir.
Can you make it any bigger, Mr. Wolk?
It's inverted. Get the player down.
that appear to be backward?
You can see the twos
Based on
over
me
here.
recognizing some of the digits, it does appear to be backwards.
Okay, let's look at the whole screen again. Sergeant, let's play this forward for just a quick second. Pause. Do you see Michael Proctor in this video?
I believe that's him. Yes.
And which side, and let's start with this. Do you agree that this is the correct version of the camera angle and the SUV as it pulled into the Southport?
This is the footage, the way that is depicted right now is very accurately very accurately represents what I remember from being there.
In fact, this side of the vehicle that we're looking at that's closest to us, that I'm highlighting on the screen to your right, that is in fact the driver's side of the vehicle, not the passenger side of the vehicle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
The far side over here would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Which area is Michael Proctor walking to? The left rear or the right rear in this footage?
It appears if that's him, he's walking through the right rear of the vehicle.
Can we play this forward?
If that's him, you said it was him.
And do you see Mr. Proctor's head above the SUV?
Yes.
And watch him as the tow truck driver walks by. Did he appear to move?
He shifted weight, yes.
And it appears that there's another person that showed up in the footage, an anomaly of some sort, walking off screen left to right. Is that right?
That's what it appears, yes.
Is Mr. Proctor still at the right rear taillight area?
He's in the general vicinity, yes.
Let's go ahead and play it forward. A little bit further. Pause. Can you see anything in his hand? Let me just ask it. Closed in. Do you see the portfolio in his hand?
It would not be unlikely that it's there, but I can't tell exactly what it is in his hand.
Let's play it forward. Do you see anything in his hand now as his arm?
Yes, yes.
Does it appear to be consistent with the black portfolio that we saw earlier?
Yes, it is, yes.
Let's move forward. And he is now off screen, correct?
Yes.
So, in point of fact, Sergeant, when you were asked previously whether the prior video fairly and accurately depicted what you recall as it pertains to the SUV and the Sally Port, that was not quite true, correct?
I'll allow it.
The way I understood the question is what I'm watching accurately depicts what's taking place. It is. Just because it's a mirror image doesn't mean that it's not recording what the actions and what is transpiring.
No, bro. No.
I'm going to have a stupid aneurysm.
Showed exactly the opposite of what was true and correct, not just a mirror image. What is left is right, and what is right is left, correct?
Stand us to that floor.
Would you agree that in point of fact, a mirror image video is not a true and accurate depiction of what's depicted in a scene?
I think it just is a mirror image of what's taking place. If you see someone walking in or driving a vehicle and it's depicting the action of the vehicle being pulled in, and if it's mirrored, it's pulling in from left to right or right to left. It's still documenting the activity that's taking place.
Or if someone walks to the left rear of the vehicle versus the right rear of the vehicle, those two things will be switched, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you'll agree that the prior video that we showed, that you and I just talked about, the inverted video, appeared for all intents and purposes to show Michael Proctor stay away from the left, from the right rear taillight, walk all the way around and position himself to the left rear taillight. You agree with that, correct?
Objection.
Do you agree with that? I love it.
It appeared that that is what was happening, but he was standing next to the taillight that was
That's
already
not what he
damaged.
testified to.
But in the corrected video, which is this
not what
one,
he testified to.
it actually shows unequivocally that Michael Proctor walked directly to the right rear taillight portion of this SUV. Correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. In the corrected
I need
video,
to think, I need
this
to
video
think.
here, this unequivocally shows
Oh, we get to
that Michael
drink?
Proctor walked toward the right rear area of that SUV, where the right taillight is, correct?
Yes.
And you'll also agree that this video was taken before any taillight material was ever found at 34 Fairview, correct?
Can you zoom in on the time?
Not on this one. This is backwards.
I know that the SUV pulled into the garage, the Sally Port, at 5:35, and we were still on scene at 5:51, almost 52. So, yes, if that's timestamp before 5:51, before we left Canton PD, then yes, taillight pieces had already been found.
So 5:35, 5:37 is before the first daylight pieces were found. Right.
I'd have to see the timestamp of when they were exactly found, but if
Well,
that...
let me ask it a different way. 5:37, 5:35 is before 5:45.
Yes.
And it's only
They
a
have just a moment,
4-minute drive to get back to 34 Fairview.
Yeah.
So 5:37 is when it pulled in, and then when did they find the first piece?
5:37 is when, or 5:51, something like that.
Yeah,
And
they
they
this
found-
time they claim 5:45, but initially
Wasn't
they
it
didn't start
5:20?
looking to 5:45 because they were waiting for the entire team and Tully to get there to tell them where to look. But this time they lied and
Sergeant,
said they
Canton
started
PD
at
is
5:36.
about a mile and a half from 34 Fairview. Is that right?
Approximately. I don't know the exact distance. I never measured it, but I would not be shocked if you were accurate in that.
Maybe a 3 or 4.
Google Maps says 4 minutes.
Depending on the traffic conditions and the weather conditions, that could be a possibility, depending on the speed you travel.
Going from the police station, I imagine, would be faster because it's 2 right turns instead of 2 left turns.
Your Honor, I have a photograph that I'd like to have marked with the court's permission. I may approach.
Mark for identification.
Marked for identification for the time being.
Okay.
Well, only if you're depicting what the scene was, but not if you're
Yes.
thinking about how reality was. Come on now, Jen. That's we all know. Come on. It's kind of like
Thank you.
you don't think that the Canton triangle exists.
Let me take a look.
Thank you. Let me ask you a couple of other.
Great point, Sue. We are now 14 days into a murder trial. We haven't heard one single thing about the murder. What we have learned is everyone has changed their testimony, and we have now spent 3 days with the not lead investigator on the stand testifying about a person who is not here. 2 people who are not here, Proctor and Higgins. The jury must be sitting there thinking, what, if any, is going on?
And thank you, Bush McFadden, the ECLOP not TAC. This is like the guy I can't say his name.
Canton Department
Police
strike
Department.
again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Police Canton.
He should have
backwards.
had Notnack Esiel, so it had been Canton Police Department, but I'll allow it. If the state had anything on Karen being responsible for John's death, they would have talked about it. Yeah. Normally, that's where we start a case, and then we'll just build about it and go back to telling us how she's guilty.
Questions.
Yeah, that's
We
usually
just
how
looked
these
at the
go. These murder
videos
trials.
of the interior of the Sally Port, harkening back to what we just looked at, the corrected video. There would also be a camera on the other side of that Sally Port garage, pointing down toward the right rear taillight area of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
There's a camera situated on the opposite side. We'd be looking at that camera, correct?
Yes.
Okay, taking a look at that photograph. I know the quality of it, but can you tell if that appears to be a still image from that camera?
I can't
Yes,
authenticate.
it appears to
There's
be a
not
still image from that
watermark.
video camera.
I'd ask that this be moved to the edit, John.
Is there an objection?
No objection. Thank you.
Thank you. If we could display this for the jurors, Your Honor, just the photograph.
Okay.
Do you see what's depicted? I know the photograph that you're holding is very poor quality. It's a little easier with this lighting. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
I'm sorry, your laser was bouncing off on the ceiling. I
I was trying to make
apologize.
it easier for you.
Yeah.
This photograph here.
That appears to be the seized SUV. belonging to the defendant with it being situated inside the Sally Port.
And
Is that
what is
Proctor?
that vehicle there?
It's an antique police cruiser.
And who is this person?
I do not know who that is.
Does it look like Michael Proctor?
Don't know. I'd have to get a zoom in. I don't know.
Oh, for God's sake. You stared at Proctor's back of his head enough.
Right?
Has the name the feds been brought in front of the jury? No, and it won't be. They're not allowed to.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely his penis
Could be
shaped
Chief
head.
Berkowitz? I don't know.
And he has his hand in the light.
This is from.
Can you tell me the date that's on the the date and timestamp at the bottom?
I think it's the first.
I cannot. I
No.
think I might be able to make it out in the actual photograph you printed out. Could I
Okay.
take a look at that?
Sure.
What?
Yeah.
There's 11 something on 1:30:22. 11 something a.m.
I can get the AM, but I can't get the 1:30.
It appears the time is
Date was 1:30.
11:08 and 59 seconds in the morning of possibly January 30th of 2022.
Okay. Let's go ahead and pull this back out full frame.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, do you have a point of reference? Does that appear to be the interior camera facing the other direction where the SUV was depicted in the Sally Port earlier?
It's the opposite of what we had viewed earlier, diagonally across, I believe.
So this would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
That is correct.
Now I'd like to ask you to take a look at the video. Now that we have that point of reference, go ahead and have a final video.
And thank you so much, T-Rex Trucking, for Mo's Day Drinking Fund. It may be necessary by the end of this testimony. Also still hoping for a Judge Bev wig. Well, tomorrow is Judge Bev at the Cape. I found the perfect outfit. I have White Claws. It's happening after I go to the dentist.
Let's hope
Still haven't decided if I'm going as Bev to the dentist or just going to put the wig on when I go home.
do it with the tampons in your mouth and blood coming out if you're getting what's it called? Injections.
Tampons are freaking expensive. I got 3 girls. Okay, no, we will not
You
be.
get free mouth tampons at the dentist. Well, not free. You pay for them, but
For a cleaning, I could ask for free mouth tampons. I will do. And thank you.
just
so much
say
to
I'm
my
going
friend.
home to play a role with someone with a slight Habsburgian jaw. Can I get some mouth tampons?
Do they have video of him touching the daggone light?
No, I
They
don't,
just had a
because
still of it.
we saw that camera last year, and it looks kind of like I don't know,
I can have that marked as
Northern Light or
next in order,
something.
Your Honor.
As next in order, so there's no objection, Mr. Brennan?
I have no objection to that being entered now.
And thank you, Bush McFadden. Now, officer, I'd ask you to stop being a dick. He is
Your Honor,
one,
with
so he
permission, can we
can't.
present this? Go ahead and play it.
Did they just open the
Pause.
blinds in the window so that we can't see the
Can
video
you make
anymore?
out, now that that's paused, can you make out
I can't
what's
tell
depicted toward the top of the
shit
screen?
from
I
this
can see
video.
the cop
Yes, it
car.
appears to be a distorted image of that antique police cruiser.
Okay. And does the area next to the police cruiser appear to be empty?
I couldn't
Yeah,
tell.
that's the
It's
snow.
fine.
Yes, it does. Actually, yes, it does look that way. Yes.
Okay. So there's nothing next to the police.
For Goatman's Beverage Fund, I'm sure you'll need it to deal with Farrell and I in 3 weeks or so. Thank you, T-Rex. I appreciate it, my good man. I can't wait. I can't wait for Dollywood. It's gonna be so
Farrell.
much fun.
I know.
Cruiser, at least at this point, correct?
That's what it appears to be. Yes.
Can we take a look at the timestamp on this document or on this frame? I'd ask you to let the jurors know if you can see what the actual runtime is on this.
Oh, shit.
I could see the timestamp. I don't know the runtime, what it's going to be.
It's 5:07, 10 or 12, something like that.
That's the
5:07.
timestamp. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. PM.
Now, if we could just play this forward, go back to full screen.
Interesting that camera just happened to die.
Well, it's more interesting that there's already snow in the parking spot, almost like the truck had been
Pause.
there and then pulled out again.
Now, how many seconds would you estimate, just in your head, just went by in real time?
Approximately.
I can tell you 40 minutes because it's 5:50:47 on the timestamp. So if you blinked and thought, "Oh, I'm tired now," it's because 40 minutes just passed. Planes, trains, and automobile funds. Also, I hope there's no snakes on your plane. There better be no snakes this year. I saw a snake last year. It's not going to happen again, or I will go medieval on some things. But thank you, T-Rex.
He's going to stress
5
me.
seconds?
That's
Okay.
what he means by medieval.
Do you see something in the video now?
Yes.
What is that?
It appears to be the seized Lexus SUV.
And now let's look at the timestamp. What time is that?
5:47 p.m.
So in about, according to your testimony, in about 5 seconds, the time jumped from before the SUV was in the Sallyport to about 5:50 p.m. after the SUV had already arrived and is now situated in the Sallyport, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
The time frame that we just saw earlier, of about 5:35, 5:36 or so, with you and, with the tow truck driver and Michael Proctor in the video. That is not in this video. It's not captured in this video. Was it?
It did not present itself, no.
It did not present itself. Did you not send out an engraved invitation?
That's all I have.
Mr. Brennan?
Oh God, not this douche. I mean, Mr. Brennan.
We're done with Cross?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Oh,
Oh God, it's gonna suck.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
That was
afternoon.
the heaviest
You had
thing
just
he's
asked
lifted in
questions
17
about
years.
some of the video footage from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you further questions about that. In your investigation, did you obtain camera footage from a number of different angles from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area?
I did.
And one of those series of footages, did that include the interior Sallyport back wall for January 29, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Is that the video that appears inverted? And then we saw the second where it was present as you would see it?
Yes, sir.
Did you look at that video? Did you invert the video in any way?
No, I did not.
Did you investigate and learn whether or not there was any other video in addition to that interior Sallyport back wall where
anti-moist
video was set up by the town of Canton that appears inverted rather than forward?
Objection.
Set up.
Yes, the investigation revealed that multiple cameras had a lens applied to it that was inverted.
In addition to the Canton Police Department
It's not the lens that inverts the camera.
Especially
It's the
not on a
hardware.
digital camera.
Even I know this, and I'm stupid in computers.
I can do it. I can do it right now. Magic trick. It's not a lens.
Picker, you didn't change.
It didn't happen yet.
You can see it on my screen.
No.
I can see it on my screen. I'm holding up my left hand, and maybe it's because I also inverted through the other camera. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Did it happen?
Okay.
No. Epic
No.
fail, Baker. Epic fail.
So
Big fail.
now
Let me
are-
see if I can do it on if I do it on the other camera. I'm such an idiot. I can see it on my screen of it, but maybe you can't. Maybe the camera doesn't. Oh, now I turn my camera off. I do run a YouTube channel, and now I just turned my camera off. Well,
Oh my goodness.
it happens in the software. It doesn't happen in the lens.
Okay,
Fuck my
so
life, I'm
Baker,
so-
report.
it was Canton's fault that the Canton set everyone up, the PD,
Yeah, they put the wrong lenses on their digital cameras.
and they didn't think to tell anyone?
See, I did it. You just had it. I saw it. Professional streamer right there.
I
You
think
had it. Again, it's a software. It's not a hardware thing. Expert, you've been doing it for longer than I have. So,
Oh, it just says Diet Coke.
what?
My shirt just says Diet Coke. It should say Coke Zero, but they didn't have that.
I have to turn my camera back on. I'll
Well,
be back.
the other one said Slay
Interior
Queen, and
back
I'm not
wall.
wearing that.
Where else did you learn around town there was video that appears inverted?
I believe it is inside the Canton PD, the hallways, possibly. And if I am not mistaken, the other locations within the town of Canton. And
Ask the question. No, is that your answer? Is that your final answer?
I wasn't finished, but yes.
why would other cameras in the town of Canton being inverted?
The answer
matter
that-
at all?
Sure is I'm going to strike the portion of the answer that follows hallways of the Canton PD.
And sir, when you obtained the video from the interior Sallyport back wall, which was inverted, did you provide a copy of it?
Yes, I did.
When you looked at that video, does it have time and date stamps on it?
Yes, it does.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce a copy of that.
It's raining so hard right now.
Yeah, it's getting ready to storm here.
When you provided the video for January 29, 2022 for that inverted video, did you do any further investigation to see if it was an anomaly that happened just on that date or whether that was historically the way the video appeared?
I'll look into that matter, produced the fact that it's been recording that way previously to January 29th.
Why did you want to historically go back and see if it was historically the same way?
To show that it had not been manipulated or altered in any way, and it was accurately recording
No, it
what
wasn't.
was taking place on January 29th, 2022.
As part of the investigation, was the video taken from January 1st, 2022?
Yes.
Oh,
And
that
is that
deleted
before
video
January
that shouldn't
29th,
be there
2022?
because
Yes, it
you
is.
deleted videos every 30 days and then you didn't delete them anymore.
Yeah, that one. That one.
He keeps saying that word accurately, and I don't think he understands what it means.
Well, do you know how many cameras are inside the Sallyport?
I don't know exactly. I know that there's at the very least 2 inside the side.
You were shown a still photograph, not from the inverted video, but from a different video or a different camera.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that?
Well, the Canton Library just didn't record when Karen drove home because some would say it wouldn't fit into the state's case, but it happens.
Photograph?
I do.
And you were asked about gaps in time.
Hey, Winning.
Do you
How you
know
doing?
what the health was of that camera around that time?
I do not know.
Did you
Health of the
obtain
camera?
and look at video from that camera?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce.
Yeah, they get to call that weirdo who keeps the record of it and say, "What's the
Yes, I do.
procedure?" Because we've
It's a
been
Sally
told
Port
that it
videos,
deletes
the
after
original
30 days.
disc or thumb drive. I apologize, not disc.
No objection. No.
Okay.
When you saw that dark photograph, you later saw a picture that was clearer, and you were asked questions about that. Do you know whether or not the video from that Sallyport area was clarified?
It was.
What does clarified mean?
It means
It's a guy who has trouble with the word theory. Now you want to have him define the word clarify.
Yeah.
it was
this is-
enhanced to look clearer.
And that image you saw, was that a clarified photograph taken from the video that was not clarified?
It appears that way. Yes.
Do you know who clarified the video?
I do not know.
May I approach?
Yes.
Can we check the metadata? Oh no. Whoops.
Yeah.
Wait, so now we're accusing the defense of clarifying it in what? Some nefarious way?
Yeah, but he allowed it in, so
He didn't. Again, this this redirect is going to be insufferable. Jackson's like, go ahead.
Zip drive, you know what is on that?
Yes,
What is it?
it's Sally Port clarified video from the front wall.
Thank you. I moved into this as an exhibit.
No objection, Mr. Jackson?
Sorry, no objection. With the court's permission, could I play a portion of the clarified video for the jury?
Yes.
With Ms. Gilman's assistance, could you take us to the clarified video of the Sally Port, and could you take us to about 5:35?
Now we can see that no one ghosts and no one went to the back. Or what are you going to prove?
Oh, they're making key. How good. I sense a technical.
As Ms. Gilman
difficulty.
searches, I have other questions I can proceed with.
Okay, we'll turn the light on again, please.
Why isn't she ready?
Go ahead, thank you.
Did you obtain video of outside the Sally Port to show what time the tow truck arrived with the defendant's Lexus?
Yes, it did.
May I approach?
Yes.
You're going to give her another thing to look at when she's looking for the one thing? Way to go.
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's a disc containing CPD exterior Sally Port video.
No objection, Your Honor. Similarly, did you obtain video from the front driveway of the Canton Police Department depicting the arrival of the defendant's Lexus?
Yes.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Hand you another item. Do you recognize this, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's Canton PD driveway video.
And is this a copy of the video you obtained?
Yes, it is.
I'll move this into evidence. No objection.
Thank you, Bush McFadden, for becoming a member of the Church of Mo. We have true crime, sarcasm, and dark humor. It is the triangle of awesome that is the Church of Mo. So welcome.
Hold the recorders.
Do you recall when you arrived with the defendant's Lexus on January 29, 2022, what time you reached the Sally Port?
To the best of my recollection, it was 5:35 p.m. is when the vehicle was placed into the Sally Port.
When you left Dighton after the tow truck lifted the defendant's Lexus and put it on the tow truck, did you follow the tow truck back to Canton?
Yes, I did.
Did the tow truck stop at any point between Dighton and Canton Police Department?
Other than red traffic lights, no.
When you were following, how were you following the tow truck?
I was keeping a safe distance, always keeping line of sight behind the vehicle. I was following it from Dighton residence all the way to Canton PD.
Was Michael Proctor with you in your truck?
Yes, he was.
Did you take any detours on your trip back to the Canton Police Department?
No, we followed the truck driver. He led the way.
At any point, did you take any turns to Fairview Road?
No.
Did you know whether or not there was a CERT team at Fairview Road searching while you were driving back to the Canton Police Department?
I knew one was dispatched, yes.
Did you go to Fairview Road to speak to any of the CERT team members?
No.
Did you watch the CERT team members conduct their search?
No, I did not.
In any way, did you, at any point during that search, see it happening?
No, I did not, no.
When the CERT team members were there,
What about
do you remember
Proctor?
that they arrived at 4:54 and 4:56?
I don't have a specific memory, but I know that they arrived sometime between that hour.
When you arrived at the Sally Port, at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus, what was your understanding of where the CERT team was?
My understanding was they were at 34 Fairview.
When you first arrived around 5:37 at the Canton Police Department, were any members of...
Do y'all think Bev is going to allow a recross with Officer Bukaki?
She will have to, because he just opened the door for 25 new questions. So,
I would think.
yeah. because can we just? I don't know if we need to go to one of the mega churches or it's more of a sudden snake handling thing. But praise the Lord, he got his memory back. Now he knows exact times.
It's a miracle.
He has been healed, y'all.
I don't, Valhalla, have you taken your snake and touched him with it or something? Because this guy has been cured.
My snake
Okay, those in the
may have touched some
evangelicals
things,
will
but
know
Yuri
this.
wasn't one of them.
He's
I'm
washed in the
talking
blood,
about
y'all.
your
Washed
45
in the blood.
feet long python.
So was I.
Mm-hmm.
He has been healed by Jesus.
Jesus touched this man and he's whole again.
It's the Holy Spirit, y'all. The Holy
The
Spirit's in
CERT
him.
team at the Canton Police Department.
I'll allow it. Lay a foundation.
Now, I asked you, do you remember about what time you got back to the Canton Police Department? Do you know specifically what time you got back?
I know we pulled in to the driveway at 5:30 p.m.
Did you see some of the timestamps that you were shown on cross-examination?
Yes.
Did you see the timestamp 5:37:18 when it was shown to you by the defense?
Yes.
At that time, when you were arriving and bringing the defendant's Lexus into the Sallyport, was there any CERT team members at the Canton Police Department?
No.
Were there any troopers who were speaking to you or receiving items or evidence from you or Trooper Proctor?
Absolutely not.
Was there any items exchanged between you or Trooper Proctor and anybody else for that matter that you saw?
No.
While you were at the Canton Police Department in the Sallyport area, do you remember how long you stayed in that area?
Approximately 15, 20 minutes.
And so you were asked when the first items were found at Fairview Road. Do you remember that it was around 5:45?
Yes.
So at the time those items
15, 20 minutes. That's not what the video showed. What was the timestamp, Mo, when they left?
When they left.
Yeah, when he left with the folder in his hand.
Okay, that might have been when I was yelling at Mr. Mo, so I don't have that.
were first found at Fairview Road. Where were you and Michael Proctor?
At Canton Police Department.
When you were at the Canton Police Department and you had brought the Lexus back, did you ever see Michael Proctor leave the Canton Police Department without you?
No.
Did you ever see him hop in a car and take a drive?
No.
A 3-minute drive or a 4-minute drive?
No.
Did you ever see him leave for a 6-minute, 7-minute trip?
Objection, Your Honor.
You've made your point. Next question.
When you were at the Canton Police Department, were you separate or with Michael Proctor?
We were together. Not obviously tied at the hip, but we were within eyesight, traveling together.
After you left the Sallyport area, did you and Michael Proctor immediately leave the Canton Police Department?
No, we stuck around.
Why did you stick around at the Canton Police Department?
To make sure that evidence was properly being protected with yellow tape around it. And we were making plans to go get dinner.
When you were making
Where was
plans, did you go
Yuri
anywhere else in the
in
police
that
department after you
Sallyport
left the
video?
Sallyport area?
Where's Tully?
Isn't
It's
Tully
fine
out
and
with the
dandy
SWAT team?
that Bukaki and Proctor stayed, but Tully arrived at 5:45. 15 minutes after the car arrived at the Sallyport, and that's why I wanted to see that the timestamp for when he leaves with the little folder, because he goes there and tells them where to dig. Tully is the one that starts the search team. And if Brian Tully were at the Sallyport, he would have ample time after the tail light potentially had 2 pieces, 3 pieces ripped off to go over there and say, hey, can you search in this area? And oh, there it is.
Yes, I believe we went to the conference room.
Was there anybody else that you saw in the police department when you went to the conference room with Mr. Proctor?
Well, at least
I remember
it's,
talking to Chief Berkowitz in the police department. We were in the dispatch area at one point in time as well.
Baker, can you pause?
So
Wasn't Chief Berkowitz also out with the CERT team for a little bit?
Oh.
Because there were 2 Canton guys that weren't kind of plainclothes.
He was never mentioned as one of the people who were at the scene. Brian Tully and can't remember if Sergeant Lang was mentioned also, but never Berkowitz.
Berkowitz was also the septuagenarian with astigmatism driving 40 miles an hour in a residential zone that managed to find a glass this big.
Yeah, but that
but
wasn't
not
the
see
same
the
day.
glass this big. No, I'm not saying it's the same day, but I'm saying that doesn't make sense.
No, Boosh, I was talking about the other video, the clear one, not the. This one is the one that's impossible to see.
I'm almost there.
There was multiple people that observed us there.
At any point, did you give any items to Chief Berkowitz?
No,
At any point, did you ever see Michael Proctor hand or give an item to Chief Berkowitz?
absolutely not.
You said Michael Proctor had a folder with him.
Yes.
Is that typical in an investigation?
Yes.
Did you ever see him place taillight or any item in that folder?
537.
No, that would be absurd.
Did you ever see him retrieve
536.
an item or taillight pieces? And
7.
So 5:37. So 8 minutes. If Tully was there in a car for a 4-minute drive, I'm just speculating here. I'm just asking questions.
give it or sneak it over to Chief Berkowitz?
Objection, Your Honor.
Did you ever see Michael Proctor ever hand any piece of taillight to Chief Berkowitz or any other officer for that matter?
No.
Did you see
The
him
entire
hand his
time you
folder
were
to
there, did
someone?
either you or Michael Proctor, from what you saw, provide any items, physical items, to anybody else that was there?
Objection, Your Honor.
No, we did not.
He isn't in the video, so how does he know these things? He wasn't with Proctor the entire night, so how can he be certain that this didn't
That was
happen?
my question, right? Yuri just testified that he was never out of eyesight.
When
from
you came back to the
I
camp,
mean, did they
shot of
cross
the video.
streams in
Change
the
anything.
urinal? Were they holding hands?
And again, Proctor isn't the one that's important here because we know Proctor didn't go to Fairview, but we don't know if someone else got something from Proctor and went to Fairview.
May I?
Yes.
At any point from when you first arrived at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus to the point when you left to go to dinner or to get something to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever provide any physical item to anybody at the Canton Police Department?
No, other than dropping off the vehicle.
Is it normal for the defendant to head up to the bench during a sidebar? Depends on how the court is structured. They had actually asked for a set of earmuffs that she could put on so she didn't have to go up there all the time. But Bev denied it, and she has been taking a lot of responsibility in her own defense, so that's why she goes up there. You see it in some trials. Most trials, they will actually have a headset so they can just sit at the bench. She's not shackled, so it's not as prejudicial as if she had been shackled, because then it would be way more different. You know, I always plant my evidence in clear sight. Come on now.
It has to be in clear
Go
sight
itself,
for
we
them
did
to
not
find it.
exchange anything.
Oh, don't say we, I'm just asking for you. Now I'm going to ask you, at any point when you got to the Canton Police Department until you left to go to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever see him hand any physical item to any other person whatsoever?
No, I did not.
And after, do you know about what time you and Michael Proctor left the Canton Police Department?
I would have to estimate it to be around 6, maybe well after 6.
And at the point you left, do you know how many of the items had been found by the CERT team at 34 Fairview Road at the time you left the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
When you left with Michael Proctor, where did you go?
I went to Norwood, Massachusetts.
Is that where you ate?
Yes.
When you left and then arrived in Norwood, did you stop along the way at any other place, including but not limited to 34 Fairview Road?
I did not.
Did you eat?
Yes.
After you ate, where did you go?
Back to Canton Police Department.
Why?
We were having a debrief for that day on the investigation so that everybody could get on a good understanding of what had been learned, what had been collected, and where the investigation stood, and to assign tasks on the next steps.
Who were you meeting at the Canton Police Department when you returned?
It was the Detective Lieutenant Tully, members of the Norfolk SPDU.
Do you know what about time you returned to the Canton Police Department?
I want to say it was after 7:30, but I'm not positive.
When you left the place that you and Mr. Proctor ate at and returned to the Canton Police Department, Did you take a swing by Fairview Road?
No,
Did you stop anywhere from the point you left where you ate and came back to the Canton Police Department?
no, sir.
When you came back to the Canton Police Department, did you get debriefed?
Yes.
Did you learn whether or not the CERT team had found any physical items at Fairview Road?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Yes, I did.
Did they give you any details about what they had found at Fairview Road during the CERT team search?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
I learned that
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow this.
the second sneaker was located. Also, a large piece of red taillight was also located.
After you were debriefed, did you leave the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
Who did you leave with, if anybody?
It was myself, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper Keefe, I believe.
When you left the Canton Police Department, do you know what time that was?
I do not, but I would have to estimate to be around 8 o'clock, maybe 8:15.
Did you leave alone?
I was in my truck, yes.
Did you
So,
see
Mr.
where?
Brennan, what I'm going to do is just interrupt you for a minute. Folks, a couple of minutes ago, when Sergeant Buchanan testified as to what he learned at the debriefing, that's not offered to you for the truth of what he said was lying, but only so you understand that the police, what Sergeant Buchanan and the police know.
I bet she wouldn't have gave that instruction if the DOJ wasn't watching.
Go ahead, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you. When you drove away,
Then
were
why
you alone?
didn't she uphold the
Yes.
objection when he gave it?
When the Lexus was brought to the Sally Port, did you have a chance to again look at that right rear taillight?
Yes,
And did you make observations of it?
yes.
About an hour, 45. Oh, no, not an hour. Sorry. Half an hour. It just feels like
It
longer.
just feels
We haven't even
longer.
been streaming for an hour on this one.
No, I thought, it's been, we're almost done. Nope. Still got an hour left. Hour and 20.
Oh,
He has a
Brennan,
great head for Minecraft.
Right?
he really does have a good Lego head.
No, it's Playmobil.
Do what now? Oh, Playmobil. Or the way,
Playmobil.
look, the way you said it is correct. The way I said it is
While you were at the Canton Police Department
Serenity
and
would
in the
probably
Sally Port
say-
area, did you ever see
That's not how we
anybody
say it because it's
take
German.
a piece or in any way remove part?
For the newcomers, we are on redirect. Brennan is having him testify and praise the Lord. Praise little 7 pounds, 50 ounces baby Jesus in a t-shirt that's kind of like a tuxedo to say, hey, I'm party, but I'm also cool. He has healed this man. His head wound that made him suffer forgetfulness for 2 days has disappeared. The fog have lifted. He can now exactly remember every single minute of his day. The man who couldn't remember his own name almost have now remembered everything. And he found out that it was they put the wrong lenses on cameras in Canton. That's why it's inverted video, which is not a thing. And no one absolutely did anything to tamper with the crime scene, even though there's plenty of time to do it.
Red Solo Cup.
Look up.
I'll fill
I
you
fill
up.
you up.
Let's have a party.
Party.
Let's have a party. Great song.
I watched another one sing country music yesterday. That was about
it's a
being
Toby
a
Keith song.
exotic dancer doing blow and hooking when the boss wasn't looking.
Outstanding.
That was a pretty good song.
Part of that broken taillight from the Lexus?
No, I did not.
If you had, what would have you done?
Objection.
Sustained.
Not a damn thing.
He would have acknowledged it with a thumbs up emoji.
And approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I just sent a thumbs up to someone who sent me a DM.
Show Mr. Jackson.
That's funny you just said that. Oh no, I can't do that because that that means I acknowledged I read your text.
Could
Doesn't
you
mean
zoom
I
in a little,
like it.
please, Ms. Gilman?
Oh,
You recognize that photo?
I do.
What do you recognize it as?
I recognize it as the damaged and missing pieces of the right rear taillight on the
Pause.
defendant's Lexus.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not a meteorologist and I don't have good spatial awareness, but how do you get a 6 and 7-inch piece missing from that little chunklet?
Well, it's bigger than you think. But the problem is, this is a wraparound. So how does it chew up an arm? But it doesn't hit the front part of it.
Kind of amazing.
I'm so confused. Again,
But how do you ride through a snowstorm and you don't get water splashes in the taillight housing? Because you can see it all around. Doesn't look like there's a lot of salt spray inside the taillight.
I mean, it just doesn't make.
None of it makes sense. The more you think about it, the less sense.
I don't want to take notes for Brennan. Do I have to take notes for Brennan? He sucks out loud.
Now,
stereo.
Red Solo Cups is the best receptacle for barbecues, tailgates, fairs, and festivals. And you, sir, do not have a pair of testicles if you prefer drinking from glass.
I hope that was a
So our-
advertisement.
This
So
SUV.
ball jars are
When the
acceptable,
Lexus was
right?
brought into the Sally Port, was there still
They are
snow
here.
on it?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow on it that covered parts of the vehicle?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow in that area
Currently, no.
when you first brought it into the Sally Port?
I'm sorry, in the area of the vehicle?
No, the area of that taillight.
Yes, there was. Yes.
Jesus.
How close did you get to take a look at that?
I was within a foot of it.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw?
Yes, it is.
From what you saw, was the damage you saw when you looked at the car for the first time in the Sally Port area any different
Yes, we have discussed that one.
than the damage that appears on this Exhibit 13?
It is not.
As part of your investigation, did you
Again, this one was covered with snow. Remember that when it was back in John's driveway? Then it drove all the way down to Dedham, where it must have gotten hotter, and the salt spray that you can see all around this area didn't
Not
get
inside.
into this area. Isn't it just magical?
It was a
And
Christmas
over here is
miracle.
where the tiny little hair was clinging on, like
The mighty
a
little hair
nun
that
to a
could.
sailor is the first time she tries it. And this line right here, you can't tell
That
me
is interesting.
something wasn't put in and cracked the light out. This line, if it's a scratch, it could be an imperfection on the camera, but if this is a scratch, that couldn't have happened in any way in connection with the accident. Because remember, everything blows out. Nothing goes into the taillight housing. There's a very big scratch here. Remember, this is the area they didn't find. If someone chucked a crowbar or a piece of steel in here and did this, they could potentially have scratched the inside of the taillight housing. Well, I'm just speculating.
look for, you can take that down, please, and lights on, thank you. Did you look for other evidence that the taillight was broken before it came into the Sally Port area?
Yes, I did.
Did you have
Yeah.
a chance to view the ring video from Meadows Road at 5:07 in the morning?
Yes, I did.
And when you looked at that, did you have an opportunity to look at the defendant's Lexus backing up and then leaving that driveway?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to see if there was any evidence?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see that stood out to you about the taillight?
The taillight is shining white and not covered by a red taillight cover, which would have produced a red light.
Did you further look at
Okay,
any
Bill,
video
minus time
from the
sky.
Canton Police Department dash cams to get a view of that taillight and determine whether it was broken before it was even brought to the Sally Port area?
Yes, I did.
And did you in fact look at video or still photographs from the Canton Police Department dash cam?
Yes, I did.
So I have Exhibit 11 displayed, please. And during your investigation, when you were making this analysis, did you view this photo?
Yes, I did.
Did you make any particular reference or anything that caught your attention in this video?
Yes, the right rear taillight of the Lexus SUV is missing the red lens cover, and it is damaged.
You mentioned the observations. You can take that down, please. You mentioned your observations when you got to Dighton about what you saw relative to the taillight. And then at some point, video was provided of the tow.
Yes.
Did you study that video as well?
Yes, I did.
And did you see anything in particular when you were making these determinations that stood out about the video of the Lexus being put onto that tow truck relative to the taillight?
Yes, the video indicated that there was white light coming through, exposing the missing red right rear taillight cover.
You told us on direct examination you've watched a number of videos and interviews of the defendant.
Yes.
Without getting into the content.
Bad dog. Dude, you can make theories all day long about the taillight, but I'm telling you, as someone with 20 years of experience looking at vehicle damage, it's impossible. There's not more damage from 24 miles versus a human. Bad dog, you are preaching to the choir, because I've said the same thing ever since we saw that video the first time. It makes no sense, and this should never have been a trial, because no one in their right mind would ever look at that and think, yeah, collision with only an arm. But thank you.
Did you watch any videos where the defendant talks about the broken taillight prior to the Sally Port?
Objection, Your Honor. Not foremost sustained.
Did you listen to any interviews
awesome post
of the defendant relative to the taillight?
Yeah, bad dog.
Yes.
Just a little bad dog.
That was a good one. Yuri, you're going to go to hell.
I want to
for
go
all
back,
this.
and I want you to
You
take
know
us
that,
through
right?
your investigation, and I want to be specific about what you learned and when, and what you did with that information relative to the decisions and the direction of your investigation.
So now we're going to go through
When
2 hours of
You were
investigation.
called on the morning of January
All right,
29th,
that's
2022. When you first got a call, where were you?
I was at home in bed.
You mentioned that after you received the call, you called another trooper at that time.
Yes, sir.
And who was that?
Michael Proctor.
After you spoke to Michael Proctor, did you have any firsthand knowledge about what had happened prior?
No, I did not.
Did you have any firsthand knowledge about what had happened the night before?
I did not. No,
Did you have any firsthand knowledge
Yes.
about the participants or the people that may or may not have been involved?
I did not. No,
Did you at that point know, or were you friendly with Brian Albert?
I knew who he was. I was not friendly with him. I did not know who he was.
Had you ever socialized with him?
No,
Wait,
Nicole
you knew
Albert.
who
Were
he
you
was,
friendly or
but
ever
didn't know
socialized with
who
her?
he was.
no, I've never.
They
Jennifer
did
McCabe,
socialize with
did you
him.
know who she was or socialize with her?
No, I did not.
Her husband, Matthew McCabe, did you know him or socialize with him?
No,
How about Julie Nagel? Did you know who she was or had you socialized with her?
no, I did not.
Ryan Nagel, is that name, was that familiar to you?
No, it's not.
Sarah Levinson, did you know that person?
I did not.
Are we going to mention all the people? I'm going to speak
Yes.
You mentioned that you knew who Brian Higgins was,
Yes,
and you had worked on a case or some involvement in a case with him?
yes.
Did you owe him any particular favor or kindness at that time?
Objection, Your Honor. I'll sustain it.
Did you have any loyalty or friendship with him?
Objection. I'll allow that.
I did not know.
At this point, you were how far into your career as a Massachusetts State Police officer?
In 2022, I was approximately 10 years in.
And you had been honorably discharged from the military,
Yes, I was.
served the president?
Yes,
And so at this point, how about Heather Maxon? Did you know that name?
I did not know.
When you first received the call, did you have any firsthand knowledge whatsoever?
No, just what I was told over the phone.
You mentioned you went to the Canton Police Department first and spoke to Canton police officers.
Yes,
Was it at that point you learned about a physical item that was found at the scene?
Objection. Sustained.
What did you learn from them that was important in your investigation when you first got to the Canton Police Department?
Oh my God.
I learned that there was a broken, shattered cocktail glass that was recovered from near where Mr. O'Keefe was found, and also his phone was underneath him at the scene.
And were both those items available to you?
Yes,
Did you also learn any statements made from any witnesses that were attributed to the defendant at that time?
yes.
And what was the statements?
At that point in time, while at the Canton Police Department, the statements were, "Oh my God, did I hit him? Did I hit him?"
In a question format. Question.
Did
Yes.
I hit
And
him?
based on that information, was it somewhere around that point when you called the hospital or medical examiner's office?
Yes, I made a call to the medical examiner's office.
Is that all the information you learned that morning?
No, it's not.
I don't think you did,
After
actually.
you learned that information, did you ask the police officers? Well, let me ask it this way. After you learned that information, did you want to go somewhere?
Yes, I did.
Where did you want to go?
I wanted to interview the individuals that were with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was located and get their accurate and most first-person information from them directly.
Do you know whether or not, were they suspects at this point?
No, they were not.
Did you know whether they were eyewitnesses or differently witnesses?
At this point in time, prior to speaking to them, I just knew that they were eyewitnesses for the location of Mr. O'Keefe, but I did not know if they were eyewitnesses or witnesses.
And who did you speak to?
I spoke with Ms. Jennifer McCabe, Mr. McCabe, and Mr. Brian Albert.
When you spoke to them, did you separate them or speak to them as a group?
I separated them.
You went to whose house to speak to them?
The McCabe household.
Is it typical to go to a person's house rather than bring them to the station under these circumstances?
No. No.
Why did you go to their house rather than ask them to come to the police station?
Well, there were multiple factors involved in that decision. One, the driving conditions. Two, these are witnesses that had suffered some sort of traumatic event, finding their friend on the front lawn of.
No. Only one of them had suffered a traumatic event. Why are you so lying?
Baker, do witnesses who see bad things, aren't they all in traumatic, circumstances? Does that stop them from having to go to the police station?
Do you know who really don't care about your fifis? Cops.
The IRS.
Them too. But cops especially, because they just want some answers. Unless you're lucky enough that your brother-in-law is a member of the police department, then you can get interviewed in his house without a recording. Again, who doesn't have one of these? I watched a Danish TV show from the early 2000s yesterday called Rejseholdet, which is about cops who go out and solve murders.
Ooh.
We don't have that many in Denmark, but
Well,
every
that's
time
good.
they interviewed anyone, I know it's a great series, they took a dictaphone. Do you know when we stopped using dictaphones?
Because it sounds too much funny.
No, when they built in a dictaphone in every single phone on the planet. No
Fair
one
point.
used them anymore after, I think, 2000, maybe 13, 15 is where it became standard to have a voice recorder on your. When I was getting divorced, I always, when we had phone calls, I used the phone to tape if we had a contentious conversation, because it's actually a really good device. But no one at the police department thought, hey, we are not in a room. These people might just blurb out, oh, fuck, I did it. But we don't want it on tape. Absolutely not on tape. But we had a body camera on Karen Reed the day she was resentenced at the police station. Yeah, sounds fine.
Their own town. So going to their home would provide hopefully a more comfortable scene for them to recall information in the comfort of their own home.
When you spoke to them, did you receive any information from any of them that Mr. O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview at any time that night?
No.
When you asked questions about scene versus crime scene, was 34 Fairview, the home, the inside of the home, a crime scene in your mind?
No.
Was the area where Mr. O'Keefe found an important or unimportant area?
It's very important.
Did you know whether or not any of the Canton Police Department officers at that
It
time
was so
had done any
important you
type of
didn't
limited
take
search
any
of the area?
coordinates.
Just whether you know.
At that point in time,
Analyze
we did
it.
know this.
And what did you learn about the scope or the breadth of that search by the Canton Police Department?
I'll allow that.
I knew that it was brief based on the weather conditions and the item that was recovered.
After you spoke to Jennifer McCabe, and did you say Brian Albert?
Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert.
At that point, did you have any reason to want to go into 34 Fairview?
No, I did not.
Did you learn whether or not Canton police officers spoke to those particular people who lived there before you got there?
I had learned, yes.
What did you learn?
I learned that Canton police officers went inside the home, spoke with members inside the home as well.
When you speak to witnesses, you've done many interviews over your
Yes, I
career?
have. Yes.
In addition to asking questions, what are you looking for when you speak to a witness?
We're looking for body language, how willing they are to provide the information. And as with everyone, we always trust by verify. We corroborate their statements.
Did you see anything about these witnesses when you spoke to them that cued you or concerned you to do a further investigation?
How would he
Was
notice?
there
He doesn't
anything
notice a
about their
GD
mannerism or
thing.
demeanor that stood out to you?
Hey,
No.
Jesus saves, and he got saved in the break.
After speaking to the witnesses,
He's washed in
in
the
your mind
blood,
as an
but stupid
investigator,
in the
what did you need
head.
to do next?
I needed to take a look at Mr. O'Keefe's injuries for myself.
And you share with us detail about when you went down to Good Samaritan Hospital to make observations.
Yes, sir.
On direct examination, I pointed out you're not a medical examiner, are you?
I am not, no.
You're not a biomechanical engineer.
I am not, no.
In your experience,
Jesus.
when you looked at Mr. O'Keefe and had a chance to study his body, What impression did that leave you with relative to your investigation?
Objection.
At that point in time, after viewing Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, my impression shifted from him possibly being struck with the glass that was located at the scene where he was found to him being struck by a vehicle.
Why?
How? If he's going to say the chewed up arm, I will be sadly leaving because I will then have to go run into a wall with my head first. There's no indication. That's why there's no medical professional in this entire case who have ever said any of his injuries is consistent with being struck by a car.
See, Winterstorm, that's funny. Cujo, not Christine. That's funny. That's good.
Due to the abrasions and cuts on his right arm, and the amount of force, in my experience, the amount of force one would have to generate to produce the wound to his head.
I'm going to strike that last part.
After coming to the conclusion, or strike that, after making your observations and your
Agatha the Leg
determination, did your
hates this
focus
man,
shift
and
at
the
that point?
artist formerly known
Yes,
as
it did.
Good Leg
Where did you want to
hates
go next?
this man.
I wanted to observe the vehicle that the defendant was driving.
What were you going to
You
do?
don't
Towed it
observe
before you
shit.
got to it.
Any damage to the headlights, windshield, and other parts of the vehicle that would have come into contact with Mr. O'Keefe.
You mentioned the windshield and the
mouth,
headlights. Those
the
were in the front of
teeth,
car.
the
Did you have an
fangs?
impression at that point?
Yes, majority of the cases that I had exposure to with pedestrian vehicle strikes, the strike comes from the front of the vehicle. So in my assumption, speculation at that point in time, based on the limited information I had, that was my theory.
When you got
You
to
said
Dighton, did
you
that theory
said
change?
that Jen McCabe told you she had a cracked
Previous,
taillight already.
prior to our arrival to
Yeah.
Dighton,
Why would
the
you look at
theory
the
had
front of the
changed.
car?
Based on information you received from Jennifer McCabe?
Sustained.
What was that based on?
Apollo, this
It was
man is
based on
hurting my
information I
brain.
received from Jennifer McCabe's phone conversation.
And what was that information?
That the defendant told her that she had damaged her taillight and showed Mrs. McCabe and Mrs. Roberts the missing pieces and damage to the rear right taillight of her vehicle.
When you got to Dighton and had a chance to look at the defendant's Lexus, did your focus of your investigation develop in any way?
Yes, seeing for myself that there was actual damage, coupled with the statements made. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Along with the my observation, obviously, of the vehicle. My focus began to concentrate on the defendant.
You share with us that you went inside and spoke to the defendant.
Yes.
Why did you speak to her at her home rather than ask her or force her to come to the police station?
Same reasons we interviewed the witnesses, the driving conditions, the time that it would take for her to respond, the comfort of her own home, her parents' home, where she had just experienced a very traumatic event, being concerned for her
Now we
well-being.
acknowledge it was a traumatic
we
event for Karen.
Interviewed her in the comfort of her parents' couch.
Numb
When
nuts.
you interviewed her in her parents' home, where was she seated?
On the couch of her parents' living room.
Where was her mother?
She was in the home. I don't have a specific memory of her being in the room with us, but her father was in the room with us.
Did you ever try to separate the defendant from her father when you interviewed her?
Oh, I bet he did. Rain
smell it.
and this douche.
He's
Why
such
does
an
God
idiot.
hate me?
You know, I want to accept this wild-ass story if it was an Agatha Christie book, but you're supposed to suspend belief when you're reading a novel. Yet, even Hercule Poirot would never, ever look at... Again, for those of you who are new to the case, I know it's not a lot of you. This is consistent with being hit by a car and instantly turned his attention to a car.
As someone who owned a devious puppy, I can tell you those are devious puppies who had the whole heart of gold, except when they were told not to eat from the trash.
Again, how stupid does they think the jury really is?
Right,
Thank you. So we get back to my question. When you decided to speak to the defendant, did you ask her father to leave the room?
I did not know.
Why not?
We just simply wanted to get her recollection Her father did not pose a
You just stated that you believe she hit her boyfriend with a car. Why didn't you take her in to the station and lock her up? She killed a man, and you said, nah, because of her traumatic. How many other murder suspects do you just interview and say, can you just stay by the phone? We might call you. This is the same as the people who claim that Karen Reed's defense team would miss that they change shoes. They have to be the smartest, dumbest lawyers in the world. Bukaki just wants me to believe he's the dumbest, smartest cop in the world. He could tell by the scratches to his arm, John O'Keefe was hit by the car. He saw the car with the scratches to it. He knew Karen Reed must have done it. But he just took down her statement and went home.
Here's the problem with this. If you follow the state, if this was a Hollywood movie, you would turn it off because it doesn't make sense. Because for you to suspend your disbelief, there had to be some concrete rules in the world you're going to have it make sense. There needs to be a logical connection. The state's case would not even make a WB, Batwoman series.
For this to make sense, when they arrive at Karen Reed's house, they see this SUV and the taillight is intact. And then they go and question her, and they said, no, I didn't. I know nothing. Did Jen say that? Well, she was a little drunk last night, so I'm perfectly fine. I did nothing. And they leave with the car because what they didn't know is that Karen, kind of like in Fast and Furious, had a guy who came in and beat and said, hey, for the family. And changed the taillight covering. And then they go back to the scene and they find that little piece of taillight with a number on it. And they go back into the DMV and find out, oh, this is the VIN number for that. So she must have changed it. They go back, search the place, don't find anything, but learns about her Mexican lover who used to do hot rodding. And in his garbage, they'll find the taillight housing while she is in Bahamas on a cruise ship. That's the story you could tell in Hollywood. These people will tell you, we know she did it, we saw the murder weapon, we talked to her where she admitted to doing it, and we said, we're going to call you in 2 days. You
I'm
can't have
more
the smartest,
convinced.
dumbest criminal. You just can't have the smartest, dumbest criminal in the world. You can't have the smartest, dumbest cops in the world.
It's all by coincidence. They go out there, they find the glass, but he has a thought. The crime scene talks to him. He's like Will from Red Dragon, the prequel to Hannibal. And he's like, chook, chook. And he's like, I can see it. The killer was here. It was Colonel Mustard with a Red Bull and some vodka.
Fuck, this is stupid.
Like a safety risk to us. He was not present, to the best of our knowledge at the time, when Mr. O'Keefe was injured. So him leaving the room just didn't appear necessary. Again, my concern was for her well-being, having known that she was sectioned.
Her well-being, she's a killer. She's a stone-cold police killer. You knew this. You saw the injuries. You talked to Jen.
I mean, and according to the state, this woman left John mortally wounded, or at least assumed he wasn't mortally wounded, in her own words, which I know are after the fact. But again, you assume that she is the reason a police officer is no longer alive, and you let her stay home because it doesn't make sense.
And we wanted to make sure it was a safe and a comfortable environment for her to do the best she could to tell us what she remembered.
What was her demeanor when you spoke to her?
She was calm, stoic. She was sitting on the couch with a pillow on her lap, a laptop to her left. She was, I guess, maybe poised when she was answering our questions.
When you finished your conversation with the defendant, had anybody in that home ever mentioned the idea of whether or not John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview that night?
No.
When you went outside to get in your truck and follow the tow truck back to Canton, did you have any information whatsoever that there was any animus or animosity between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe?
No.
After speaking to witnesses and the defendant at that point, when you got back into your truck to go to Canton, did you have any information that there was any animosity between Brian Albert and John O'Keefe?
No.
We've already talked about out of order to return back to Canton, the Sallyport, and then you and Mr. Proctor going out to dinner and going back. So I'm going to skip all of that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
After you went home that night, did your investigation continue?
Yes.
How long do investigations continue for?
Until they are completed and exhausted, sometimes years, sometimes decades.
If you were to receive new information tomorrow, would you consider it?
Absolutely.
Sustained.
When you write police reports, is there a time limit on when you can file a report?
No.
Throughout this case, did you write a number of reports over time?
Yes.
Did you engage in tasks after the case began?
Yes.
Have you engaged in tasks recently?
Yes.
As you were investigating this case, did you speak to a number of witnesses?
Yes, I did.
Did you consider reports that were provided by other troopers who interviewed witnesses?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor was the case manager of this case?
Yes.
You were his supervisor?
Yes.
Were there other troopers who participated in this case?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not Lieutenant O'Hara participated in this case?
I do know.
You do know?
I do know
Did
that he participated, yes.
Did he?
Yes.
Do you know if he had a team with him of other troopers?
Yes.
Do you know if Trooper Prince engaged in any interviews?
I do know, yes.
Are you familiar with the name Nick Gianturco? Garino, I'm sorry.
Yes, I am.
And
Jesus,
do you know if
Baron
he engaged in any
Joseph,
tasks in this case?
I do know, yes.
What did he engage in?
Brennan, you absolute numpty. You actually had the man on the witness, Garino. You've had him multiple times. He's like your expertologist of phones. How the hell could you miss that, you giant reject? You have a big enough head on that. Is it full? Is it just smooth brained? I'm so done with you two right now. I could just, you have tested the very last piece of Jesus in me. All my nerves are on fire, and you continue to engage in stupid.
He can't even spell his own name right. What makes you think he's going to be able to pronounce Garino?
Can someone please look at the motions file today, because I'm dyslexic, so I won't pick it up. But I saw someone say there's spelling mistakes in the.
I'm sure there is. This dude's
in the
got spelling
headline.
mistakes on everything.
I
Everything.
hate them so very much, and I try not to hate people, but daggone.
Is this the same, Yuri? Yes. They had one of those special priests come in and just do the Jesus, and it fixed it right up after just some time. But he just had to see Brennan, and it fixed his memory instantly.
You know,
he generally conduct.
I enjoy watching interrogation videos. It's one of those like
I love them.
Things that I really love them. Okay, so there's a technique that they use called the read technique.
Oh yes.
Generally speaking, making a suspect comfortable isn't part of the read technique.
Yeah,
On
they
very
generally
few
don't care about
occasions, it can be beneficial. Very few, like Chandler Halverson's girlfriend, they intentionally made her comfortable with her little
Dear
stuffed
Jesus,
animal.
that interrogation.
She's a weirdo.
She's a super weirdo.
So dumb. I love her.
But
she's so dumb.
generally speaking, comfortability isn't high on the priority list for murder suspects.
Normally, they will leave you in a room for 4 hours to stew.
Yeah, they want you uncomfortable. They want your emotions heightened. They want you on edge. That's when people make mistakes.
That's why you don't get soft chairs or a hot room, or you get a very hot room. There's no lukewarm room, and they will keep you there for so long and say, "Hey, you want something to eat? Yeah, please." And then wait 30 minutes to give it to you, because then you're sitting in there and thinking, "Oh, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry." Oh.
Jason JJJ, $2 Samo. Can I blame my picture on the vehicle or the saw? Whichever you prefer. Just don't send the picture of your saw injury to me, because I faint when I see blood, and I'm already look, I don't need a cast in addition to like two worthless legs.
Did the digital forensics portion of the investigation, extractions.
Trooper Keefe, is that a name familiar?
Yes, it is.
And do you know whether or not he was involved?
Yes, I do know.
Were there a number of other troopers who were involved in different aspects of this case?
Yes, there are a number of different ones.
Trooper Evan Brent?
Yes.
Did you look or seek other information after you left the defendant's house?
Yes.
Did you look for other witness statements?
Yes.
Did you try to obtain further evidence?
Yes, we did.
Was there an interview with firefighter Timothy Nuttall on February 8th?
Yes, there was.
That was about 10 days after the incident.
Approximately, yes.
Did you learn any statements from him in addition to the earlier statements you learned that added to your investigation?
Yes.
I'm going to allow it.
And do you remember what Timothy Nuttall told you on February 8th, 2022 about any statements of the defendant?
Yeah, he said that he saw the body and that it must have been a car strike. So that's the closest we have gotten so far.
Objection.
So folks, again, this is being offered not for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the information was provided to the police.
Yes, Mr. Nuttall was one of 3, I believe.
So talk about Mr. Nuttall, please.
Mr. Nuttall told me that the defendant stated, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Was that information different than the statements that you were first learned about that she had allegedly made earlier that night?
Yes, it was.
So Jen lied the first time? Or
Yeah.
you miswrote it down, or Proctor miswrote it down?
Did you interview firefighter Daniel Whitley on February 8th, 2022?
I did.
When you spoke to
Wait,
him, do you
did he
remember
just
whether he
mess
shared
up?
any statements about the defendant telling him?
He said that that was different than information he had heard before that, meaning that he hadn't heard I hit him, I hit him, I hit him before that, because he's been testifying that he
Did
heard
I
that
hit him?
already.
Did I hit him? So it was different. He
Yeah.
heard, did I hit him? And then Nutley and Whittall said, I hit him, I hit him. So Jen McCabe then changed her statement to a declaratory statement and not a kind of
Question.
interrogatory. Yeah, a question. So it did change.
Anything about her interaction with Mr. O'Keefe at the end of that night?
I believe that he stated that they got into a fight.
Do you remember the words that he used when he described that fight?
I do not remember the exact words. Those will be reflected in my police report,
Would your police report potentially refresh your recollection?
potentially.
May I approach?
Did you write one 500 days later? What the heck?
It's taken forever to read this report.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
After looking at your report, does that refresh your memory at all?
Yes, it does.
And when you were learning information to shape your investigation, did you consider anything that Anthony Flamati told you?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And what did he tell you that the defendant told him that helped shape your investigation?
Objection.
Flamati wasn't there. He heard from another person. He did not
Yeah.
hear her. They were in the ambulance. Am I right?
Well, depends on who you're asking, because that story changed as well.
Oh.
Flamati was the one that did the Baker
Doing any
Act, right?
evidence that about
He lost that one.
in addition to trying to get or obtain information about statements of the defendant, was there physical evidence that was important?
Yes.
Was there any data evidence that any of the team from the Massachusetts State Police were you aware of them pursuing any data type evidence?
Yes, there was.
Was there some phones involved?
Yes, there were.
What phones did you understand or pursue that you thought might be helpful for your investigation?
For one, Mr. O'Keefe's phone was a device that we were looking into. We also had seized the defendant's phone and we're attempting to access that device. There was other digital information that we were seeking as well.
Was the potential data from the defendant's Lexus important to the team of investigators?
Extremely important.
Oh,
And did
Getting
any
into that
of
now?
your team or the team pursue?
Can
That
he
black
get
box,
into this
so-called black
because
box
it's out
data.
of scope? We haven't talked about the Lexus. So can he bring it up on redirect?
Well, he's the investigator, right?
yeah, but
Yes.
he wasn't asked
Yeah.
about it on direct.
You're right.
But
You're
now we're going to
Or
get
was he
into
asked
that
about it
chip
on
off
call?
that I know will change the case, because that's what my good friend Plevin has told me, that the chip off will be the downfall of Karen Reed.
Yes, we did.
You were asked whether you interviewed or present for interviews of Nicole and Brian Albert.
Yes.
And after you spoke to them, including in considering all of the prior information you had, was there any evidence that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road on January 29, 2024?
There was not.
Except the GPS location that implied it.
Well, but it was generalized towards the flagpole. So why look in the house?
And Jen said no. So
relative to the information that could be stored in the computer systems on Alexis, do you know which troopers, or do you know if Trooper Garino was involved in any process regarding that?
Yes, I do know. And yes, he was involved in conducting that portion of the investigation.
As part of the investigation, was it important or was it considered to look at John O'Keefe's phone to see if there was any specific or particular information on it that would be helpful?
Yes, it would be.
What were you looking for? What was the team looking for on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Well, the all-encompassing data includes location of the device. It includes communication, the party's identity with whom an individual could possibly be communicating. In this case, Mr. O'Keefe, his text messages, phone calls, emails, other applications like Signal and WhatsApp could have been also in use.
How about voicemails?
Voicemails, yes.
Did you ever review or consider any of those things that you just mentioned in your investigation?
Yes, I did.
Speaking of interviewing witnesses, did you, along with Michael Proctor, interview Katie McLaughlin on January 30th, 2022?
Yes, I did.
Was this the very next day?
Yes, it is.
And as part of your investigation and the direction and scope of your investigation, did you consider the interview with her and what she might have told you?
Yes, it was.
And when you were speaking with her the very next day, is there any statements that she attributed to the defendant that you considered in the next days of your investigation?
Yes, there was.
Do you remember what she told you the defendant said that was part of your consideration for your future investigation?
Yes, I hit him.
Remember that the statement is not being offered for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the information is provided.
Did the statement that Katie McLaughlin attributed to the defendant that very next day, January 30th, 2022, did that shape your investigation at all?
It helps attribute to the investigation. Again, all the evidence, all the statements, all the digital, all the circumstantial, all of that information is coupled and then put together, capped off by the defendant's statements herself to form the case.
There were questions about a plow driver by the name of Brian Loughran. When did you first hear or learn of that name?
When Turtle Boy looked into
it, was quite some time after the case had made its way through the court system.
When you learned of his name, did you attempt to speak to him?
Yes.
And before you spoke to him, were there any issues you identified relative to Mr. Loughran before you actually spoke to him?
In regards to him, no, I didn't know him. I've never met him.
Did you, in fact, speak to him and interview him?
Yes, I did.
Was that interview, did anybody attend that interview with you?
Yes.
It was asked whether or not there was a car that was seen. And that was what type of car?
Ford Edge.
Was he specifically asked whether or not that was a Ford Edge owned by the Albert family?
In our interview?
Yes.
I don't remember specifically, but it is along the line of questions that would have been in my report and transcription of the audio recording.
So you had an audio recording of him.
Why would you audio record that and not anybody else?
Yeah, we're not getting down with redirecting today. Probably not, because this guy is taking this way off the line. Remember, Proctor didn't file a report on Lucky Loughran because they claim they couldn't talk to him, or what was it? They talked to his supervisor, and his supervisor never gave them his name. There's something like that. There's
Makes
something weird.
Sense.
Yeah, but there was something with the supervisor, and then they lied about Aiden found him.
In one last interview, did you speak to Brian Albert Jr., or did you consider a report of his interview?
I saw a report.
Did you attend that interview?
I did not know.
What did you understand his relevance to be in your investigation?
He was at the home, at his parents' home, when some of his relatives and parents' friends came back to 34 Fairview.
And after you considered that interview, did it change your perspective or knowledge about whether anybody had suggested that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road that night?
Is that what he was trying to get to?
when I asked you questions earlier on in the case, days ago now, we went through a number of pieces of evidence that was found at different times at 34 Fairview Road. Do you remember those questions and going through that process?
I do remember,
Oh,
yes.
God, not again.
When we went through that process, were there any items that I did not ask you about?
Yes, there were.
And the items I did not ask you about, were they retrieved or found on different dates?
Yes, they did. They were, yes.
And the items that I did not ask you about on those different dates, do you remember how many different dates other items were found?
I want to say 3 different dates.
And on those other items I didn't ask you about, who recovered those items of evidence from 34 Fairview Road?
Michael Proctor.
Were you with Michael Proctor on any of those 3 dates when he turned in or reported the recovery of other evidence at 34 Fairview Road?
I was not, no.
And do you understand whether anybody was with him on those 3 dates?
I'll allow that.
My understanding that nobody else was with him.
And I did not ask you about any of those pieces of evidence?
No, you don't know.
On cross-examination, you were asked about those 3 pieces of evidence?
Yes, I was.
Wait a
Were you
minute,
shown what are
pause.
now exhibits contain?
He didn't ask about the exhibits handled by Proctor. That's a big thing. If I'm a juror, I'm writing that down because it shows that the Commonwealth doesn't trust those. At least in my eyes, if I don't know a lot about the law, that's what I would put together. If I had bought into the defense's thinking. Now, if I'm totally on Karen Reed is guilty, then I'm not catching this stuff.
Yeah, and again, the total change in demeanor would be something I would note.
Well, and that's also, he doesn't go, it appears to be, it purports to be. Whenever Brennan hands him something, it's, oh, okay, yeah, I believe this.
Maybe Brennan is trying to, because they have this big problem where they have to dance around the hot porridge. That, and in this metaphorical thing, Proctor is the hot porridge. You don't want to touch the hot porridge. It's the story about Goldilocks and the 3 bears. You know,
Aww.
one porridge is too hot, one is too cold, and one is just perfect. You don't want to eat the one that's too hot because you'll burn yourself. So you dance around it until it cools off. Makes total sense in Denmark. But
It really
he
does.
is the big hot topic because if he comes on stand and he does as badly under cross, or well, it'll be direct, as Bukaki has done, they have no case.
Now, was the state going to call Tully, or was he one of the ones that were pruned?
He's on the list.
Okay.
We
was in the
don't know.
last
We
trial.
have heard rumors, but we don't know.
That, yeah, it is kind of a game of telephone and intrigue.
Yeah, and again, we hear so much in the grapevine, but we don't know anything. Where's Karen's car now? It's of course impounded still after 3 years. The resale value of that car must be plummeting.
Any pictures and photograph of the bags in which those items were bagged?
Yes, I was.
Do you have those physical pieces of evidence?
I do.
Now I'd like to ask you about those 3 pieces of evidence. Was there evidence produced from February 8th, 2022?
There was.
Who produced that evidence?
That was Michael Proctor who recovered it.
And you were not there that date when he recovered the items?
I was not, no.
I'd ask you to retrieve 7-13, the items that were found on February 8th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Do you have gloves?
I do.
Oh, just the big A pieces that we found, the whole big, honking ones.
7-13.
No, I move to introduce this into evidence.
It's not already.
No, they hadn't moved it in because Proctor wasn't here. They were co-leads.
Can you
though.
describe what is in that bag? And if necessary, you should open it and show it to the jury.
Oh, it's the 3 small pieces.
The description is 1 large piece of plastic, red in color, 1 small piece of red plastic, and 1 piece of black plastic. I will open it to further show.
Isn't that the one that didn't have any black plastic in it? The one with the sealant.
Could
Oh my
be.
God, he's going to cut his finger.
He won't do that because he needs a plea deal with the Fed first. This was the last piece of plastic found.
This one's labeled 22-02-184-7-13 as the bag, and this is letter labeled A as an alpha.
Again, why show this to the juror? It shows it's impossible. No one can believe a piece this big is the last piece found. We've seen there wasn't enough snow to cover a cat.
Okay, an septuagenarian driving at speed with glaucoma saw a piece this big?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do I think we're going day 3 with jury for recross? We will be going day 3 because court ends in half an hour. Jeepers, why are we showing this again? Because Proctor is a bit late in French. Not Proctor, Brennan.
Could you again tell us the date that was recovered?
All of the above.
This was recovered on February 8th, 2022.
Oh, so it's not even the last piece of plastic.
This appears to be a black piece of plastic, same identifying numbers, but
we
this
haven't
one
seen
is
these
labeled with the
before.
letter B, as in Bravo. This small piece of red plastic is not labeled.
Oh,
Okay, so if you're investigating a
this was on
police
February 8th,
murder, wouldn't you put
2022?
each piece of evidence in its individual package so it doesn't have to be, broken up? These are, if you're going to piece things together, you want them kind of in a way that you can piece them back together. But I mean, I'm just spitballing here.
again, how else could it multiply in the bags? Where 3 became 4. When 2 become 1, I need some love like I never needed love before. Wanna make love to you, baby.
Earlier in, are you done with that package?
Yes.
Earlier
Yeah,
in your
that's
testimony,
Spice Girls.
you had shared that you went back to 34 Fairview on February 10th, 2022.
Yes, I did.
And on that date, you recovered pieces of taillight.
Yes, I did.
At that point, on February 10th, 2 days after that February 8th production, was there still any snow on the ground at 34 Fairview?
Yes, there was still snow on the ground. Obviously not in the amount that was there the first day.
The second production from Mr. Proctor, do you know what date that was?
Don't hold me to it. I want to say the 11th of February.
And did you bring 7-14 and 7-15 with you?
Yes, I did.
Were you present at the case new hire? Did you look with your eyes at anything? Freaking acts like a E1 over here. Sorry. He's really ticking me off if I'm going to military stuff.
Let's take one at a time, please.
714 and 715.
Let's start with 714. I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No,
Thank you.
I don't drink on
714,
stream.
Can you show us what Mr. Parker found on February 11th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, he learned how to use a scissor.
Well,
Talk
that
about
is true.
scissors.
I'm
Hey,
proud of him.
Flux.
know,
I see what
There's a
you're
variety
doing.
of
proud of him.
wax
I didn't know Banjo Boy
stamp,
had learned to be a cop.
bags, as well as
Delivering.
plastic containers. And this is consistent with having glass in it, as it was earlier.
Does the packaging, it seems different than the other bags. Is there any reason you know of that the packaging is different?
It appears that these are small fragments of glass, so for safety reasons, it appears that they were placed into a hard containers to prevent injury or maybe possibly losing it.
Could you just hold up a few examples for the jury to see?
Yes. This one here is
Might assign to
labeled
that.
714, and then A.
Keep in mind, y'all, how tiny
This here
these
is B.
pieces are that they found on the 10th.
This
Yeah.
here is C, and then there's
and keep in
fragments
mind-
in here.
You don't need to take them out. Just describe
This
in general.
piece was still out there.
Small pieces of appears to be glass inside the wax paper.
If you can rebag all that, we'll move to the next item.
Yes, sir.
If you like gaming and you don't like Lefty, which nobody really does, you should go follow Flux. She does gaming streaming.
I love
It's,
all of my kiddos, like Flex and
7:15.
It's
Wait,
the
I
most
moved
controlled
7:15
chaos I've ever seen in a gaming game,
We're 7:14 and 7:15. Two separate
especially
bags,
when she
both
starts
found
yelling at
on
her wife.
February 11th, 2022.
I can confirm that as soon as I look back at the bag.
At 1:30.
Yes, February 11th.
If you could open that and show the jury.
Yes, sir.
Bev is just holding on until she can get a White Claw.
Yeah, her sippy cup is run dry.
They found this
No
piece
way
later.
in hell.
like, what are we talking about here, y'all? This is insane. I've become absolutely convinced that these guys are planting evidence. In the beginning, I was like, I don't know what's going on. It seems like she didn't hit him. Arca said she didn't hit him. I am convinced that these guys planted evidence.
Okay,
Absolutely convinced.
Here's what's getting to me. They find the pieces that correlate and go together. Now, if in the same place, so on day whatever, they find this one chunk that all goes together. Day whatever, they find this chunk. Now, if anyone has ever played a jigsaw puzzle like Sarah Boone, I can tell you that when you pour out the little puzzle pieces, they're not all in togetherness. You actually have to work on it. So I'm a little confused as to how a crime scene could be better than a jigsaw puzzle. But Jesus works in mysterious ways.
Yo, there's a chick on TikTok who is from the area. She put out a video talking about how quickly the snow melted. By the 8th or 9th, I think, Boston's got pictures posted with no snow, none. In Canton, there's pictures, no snow, gone. They went on the 10th and found all those teeny tiny pieces, but didn't notice this thing until the 11th or the 15th or something. This piece snuck by somehow in a snowless yard, but those little tiny fragments all got scooped up.
Hey, Valhalla, remember
out of here.
Remember, there were red leaves too, so maybe it wasn't shiny enough. They just mixed it up with a leaf.
Unbelievable.
And T-Rex says, what, if any, did they find those tiny pieces of glass days after the blizzard of the millennia happened? They found those tiny pieces of glass 12 days after the blizzard of the millennia. But they didn't find this till, I believe, 16 days after.
Unbelievable.
Because it makes sense.
It really does. And you can complete
this item is
reports
labeled
whenever.
with the same limbs number 715 and the letter A.
Oh. I think YOLO is the right thing to say in this case.
Oh, sure, Jan.
This is two pieces of clear plastic that are taped together. The longer one here on the left is labeled H, and the one on the right is labeled F.
Wait.
If my eyes are not failing me.
Okay, pause, Baker. Are there any math geniuses here who could tell me the probability of finding two small glass pieces that correlate to each other in a, was it 10 by 10 and
10 by 10 by 3.
10 by 10 by 3 area? Could you tell me, I'm guessing in the quintillions, but I just like that word.
I would go with quintillions, but they match up perfectly.
Also, I do have a poll going, and it is, let me pull it up. How long will Hank keep up redirect to the end of the day, 2 days, or it's been 84 years?
This is a canister labeled debris collection.
Oh,
with the same
Schnell out of here,
numerical identifiers.
Stink
Maybe we use
face.
a canister
Try
as
not to
opposed to just
curse.
putting it in a bag or a plastic bag. Is there a reason it's in a canister?
I do not know the reason behind it. I would strictly be speculating.
Thank you.
This small red piece of plastic is labeled E as in echo. There are more small pieces of that, similar to that size that I just showed, but
Very well. If you can rebag that. You mentioned there was 3 different days where Mr. Proctor found pieces of taillight at 34 Fairview. I'd like to go to that last day.
that'll be the 18th, I believe, of February.
Do you have a bag?
I do.
Could you produce it, please?
Oh, forgot. Please.
It's 7-16.
Yes, it is.
Do you have it?
I do.
I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
I love how he drops the Forrest Gump voice affect and mental affect for the state. It's really cool.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like, I've been healed.
Oh, I know, because if the defense had asked him, it's a bag.
If you could open it, please, for the jury.
Yes, sir.
It's the final day piece. Oh, you have got to be Schnelling.
This one's labeled B.
This is One Piece.
Oh no.
This
I'm done.
is
Baker,
the piece.
can we be done? I'm done.
Valhalla isn't here. Let's have a vote. Valhalla streams alone tomorrow.
Oh wait, no, I promised that I was going to be Cape Bev, so I can't let down my people, especially when we met the goal.
This is wider than my head, and I have a massive head.
Baker, and Brennan thinks this is a good look. Anyone with a functioning frontal lobe is going to say, wait, bigger pieces were found at the end? This makes sense because snow.
It's kind of like, have you ever watched those weirdos who dive for gold?
Yeah, I usually just make fun of the fact that there are only men when Mr. Mo watches it.
No, but there's a woman as well. She has ear problems.
It's good she's diving.
But there's a thing with debris and gold and stuff like that. The bigger chunks is left first, and then it'll wash down, and then in the end you'll have nothing. You want us to believe that pieces this size was found right after, but this piece that's wider than this semi-Neanderthaler's head wasn't found till 18 days after.
And I like how he
looks like Cyclops' glasses. Or maybe Brett the Hitman Hearts.
I love how he's again Trooper Proctor, but for the defense, he's Mr. Proctor. Like that. See,
T-Rex
those are
says,
things I would note down.
Mama said life is like a box of chocolates. You never quite know which one are going to have magic pieces of matching tail light fragments in it. Trooper Boo Cocky, probably. And Eileen said, I'm betting the juror will be shocked Proctor is still alive, given how much they talk about him in past tense and that they haven't called him. Mm-hmm.
This one's labeled B. Here we have 3 red taillight pieces taped together. Appears to be mechanically fitting.
They're taped together.
Labeled A, C,
no,
and
they're
D.
still honking pieces.
Do you typically label items?
No.
Do you know where those labels in the taping come from?
I believe that's from the crime lab. They identify each item according to their protocols to help them facilitate their portion of the investigation.
If you believe this, I have a 100%
Small clear piece of
for-profit
plastic
charity called
labeled
Mo's
E
House
as in
you
echo.
can donate to.
Small piece of clear plastic labeled G as in golf. And another tin canister labeled piece of plastic.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What are the odds? Well, probably not a snowball's chance in hell.
You earlier mentioned that the tow truck brought the defendant's Lexus to the Canton Sallyport. Do you know if there's a video depicting that arrival?
Yes, there is.
With the court's permission, I would like to play a portion of Exhibit 127.
127.
Bev, call a mercy thing after this video. Now this is snow.
Have you seen that video before?
Yes, I have.
What does it depict?
It depicts a tow truck from Diamond Towing arriving at Canton Police Department, followed by my personal pickup truck that we're following the vehicle in.
That video, that's before the video of being in the Sally Port?
Yes, it is.
When you were considering the physical pieces of evidence as part of your investigation, were you considering the weather conditions that night?
Yes.
When you were evaluating pieces of physical evidence that were found at 34 Fairview, were you making any assessment about their location or depth or closeness to the ground when you were evaluating them?
Yes.
And why were you considering the closeness of items to the ground?
Well, common sense will dictate that if a item is found on the grass and there's snow covering it, that it would have to have been placed prior to the snow accumulating. If an item is shoved into the snow, it will be exposed as the snow melts prior to it reaching the ground level.
I'm going to ask you to, with the court,
Shoved
retrieve-
in the ground? Why would you say that?
Exhibit 85. May I approach?
Yes.
Also, when has he ever used common sense? Facts not in evidence. I object.
You have some questions while we wait?
Okay. When you retrieved pieces of taillight on February 3rd, did you consider their location, not only where on the lawn they were, but about the depth of where they were found?
Yes, I did.
And based on the items that you found on February 3rd, how close to the ground were they?
They were on the ground, or in the instance with the hat, it was frozen almost in a solid piece to the grass blades, to the ground.
Was that
It's
significant
amazing
you
to
how
me
the hat
that he
was
can
found?
logic his
Yes, it was.
way into the depth of snow, but he
I could
can't
have
put together that
99
there was
feet.
no snowbank that Higgins couldn't see over the top of.
Yeah, that's
Do we now have 99D?
Oh, it'd really help if they took pictures
Beneath
when
the
they
hat on
picked
the
up
left
the
side next to the
GD
ruler, what do you
glass.
see?
Yellow grass and a leaf, I believe, a brown leaf.
Was that of importance to you?
Yes, it was.
I may approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
And if you could turn the lights on and take that down, please. Thank you, sir. I'm approaching with exhibit 85. Could you take the item out of your bag, please, sir?
Yes, sir.
so now we're going to see the cap because that changes what.
We already saw the cap. We noted that there was no rain or salting stains on it.
The hell?
Are we showing the grass
You open the
stains
back
to
of the
show
pants,
that he
please?
was on grass when they've said he was, covered
As part
with
of your
snow and
investigation
all
and
the
the significance
snow?
of the evidence, did you consider any debris on the back of the pants as part of your analysis?
Yes, the grass stains on the left,
Objection.
the appearance of the
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
the staining that's taken place or had taken place on these jeans was significant in the
Except when
fact that
ground is frozen, you don't get those.
it appears to be green and grass stain.
What did that suggest to you as part of your evaluation of your investigation and the decisions that you made after?
It suggests that Mr. O'Keefe impacted the grass area with his left glute, transferring green staining onto his pants.
Stephen did a mock-up. Let's clear our brains because this is roughly. Remember, it was a 7x7. I don't know what that means, feet or whatever. Use real numbers.
Potatoes.
Yeah, 7x7 and 3 feet deep.
But it's about 2
This is
meters.
roughly how much of that area that piece would have taken up. But they didn't see anything. He would have had a broken hip, or he would have very red buttocks.
Did anyone check John's buttocks? Asking for a friend, I guess, or
It would be gluteus maximus on at that area.
okay. This has kind of made my day because it totally correlates with the Forrest Gump, and we finally got a buttocks reference. So I am kind of stoked.
Chrissy, we are watching him at 1.5 speed.
Oh
Gluteus.
God, we have to come back to him.
It just hurts, Eddie. I'm okay. It just hurts.
The amount of snow
Yes.
that was on the ground at about 12:32:09 to 12:32:12 on January 29th of 2022.
But wouldn't it tear that? Why has it torn up the other pocket?
They cut
I
it
was
off
just
to
wondering
get him
that.
warm.
The pocket?
No, you don't cut up the pocket to get him warm. You cut up the
Yeah.
pants.
That pocket almost looks like a dog had a hold of his arm, put its paw down on the back pocket, and ripped the pocket off.
Or someone did
That's making too much
something
damn
like
sense.
this, and he fell backwards.
Yanked his ass down the stairs, perhaps.
Yeah,
Valhalla, the car caught his pocket when he was leaning over, tying his shoes with a cocktail glass in his hand, right before he pirouetted. It was like, I hate Levi's. I'm a Wrangler guy. And that's how it happened.
is that when his phone fell out of his left back pocket without getting trashed
Okay.
when it landed under him?
Yes, because it fell directly into his hand. He turned it off because he's like, hell no, I don't want anyone messing with my phone when I'm unconscious. And then he went unconscious.
Yes, based on my investigation and review of video from surveillance footage, it appears to be very little to a coating of snow in some areas.
You could be back
Wait.
that for us, please.
Yes, sir.
Then
wasn't
how did
white
Higgins
out.
have a berm of snow that he couldn't see?
So, but you didn't find it weird that he said he couldn't see the victim because of a snowbank when you testified there was no snow?
I have just a few final questions for you.
Yes, sir.
You were asked questions about interviewing Brian Higgins,
Yes.
and you shared with us that he provided you a number of text messages between him and the defendant.
Yes.
You began to explain that you vet information during your investigation.
Yes, we do.
What did you tell him you were going to do with the messages he was giving you?
I explained to Mr. Higgins that we have in our custody and will eventually get into both the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's phone so that protect his integrity as a law enforcement official.
Pocket ripped when they carried him back up the stairs. It at least didn't rip when because if it had been ripped when he flew across the lawn, there would have been grass inside of that pocket or on that pocket.
Yeah.
Because that would be a lot of force. Oh my God, this is so stupid.
This
Valhalla, we took a vote. You are streaming alone tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to get one of those bad touch dolls to show where in the brain Brennan has hurt me. So I'm on a journey tomorrow.
I don't
Enjoy.
wanna.
Or hand puppets that show my feelings, because I think I'm going to need deep psychological therapy after this.
I told him that the information he was providing better be true and accurate, or else he would suffer the consequences of the ulterior.
Did you in fact vet what he gave you?
Yo,
Yes.
hey,
And before you vetted it,
brother.
He's a comedian.
This is an interview.
Oh, sweetheart.
You
ATF agent, you better be truthful in this cop interview because I'm sure you have no idea that you're supposed to be truthful. Oh
well,
my God.
that totally made Jen not lie to the feds. I mean, misspeak and misremember who the hell she called and the DA's office.
Sure kept Kerry Roberts from lying to the grand jury. I'll tell you that much.
Brian
Yeah.
Albert, you, me, the Texas Alamo this Tuesday. You better
Stupid.
bring the truth, brother, or I'll bring the consequences. And I told him in an assertive way.
Flux,
Come on
I love
now.
you. You're my adopted daughter, but I'm never going to Massachusetts, okay? So, sweetheart, you're going to have to come out here and visit me.
This
Because I don't think I
This-
can be allowed in Canton. I think I will go into full-blown just traumaticness.
thou shalt suffer the consequence.
did he make any changes, additions, or subtractions from that information?
No, he did not.
And when you vetted that information, was there anything different from the alternative source, that being the defendant's phone from his phone?
Not that I noticed, no.
Or that exhibit or that document has been marked for identification. I'd like to introduce it as an exhibit. Identification number is that?
Wait a minute. He has 2 water bottles. Again, shake those water bottles, see if they bubble. Because I'm down.
He didn't really drink much water on
Well, I'll need to look. I don't know the number.
Cross.
I think the clips might have it.
It's marked for identification.
It was actually one. It was EE notes.
Oh, it was introduced?
It was.
I didn't realize this has been introduced as exhibit 115.
I am curious why that pocket.
As part of your investigation, did you look to see if there was any animus or difficulty between Mr. Higgins and Mr. O'Keefe prior to Mr. O'Keefe's death?
Yes.
Did you look at text message records to see if there was any motive that was evidenced in those text messages for Mr. Higgins to want to murder Mr. O'Keefe?
I did look.
May I approach?
Yes.
You did?
Well,
Without
I looked at
anyone
the text
telling you?
messages that Brian Higgins gave him.
I handed
Well,
you a
yeah.
document. Do you recognize that package of materials?
God,
I'll
not the
just say it
cringing.
straight up. I normally always text people I have beef with. I'm going to kill you this Monday. I'm going to ask Valhalla to send you a text and ask if you want to come out drinking with us. Then I'll get some beers in me. I'll roughhouse a little bit with Mo. And then I'll invite you home to my house my friend's house, where I will kill you. And
Okay.
leave you outside and try and pin it on your girlfriend. I probably wouldn't try and pin it on the Valkyrie because
No, she
it'll
would
be
hurt
worse for me.
you. Yeah, she would hurt you.
All
Yeah.
right, Baker, if they're going back into the cringe cancer freaking text, Bev will be real drinking tomorrow.
Yeah, she'll do a half day.
Yeah, well, Mo will do a half day because Mo can't
Yes, we do.
drink.
And what is it?
It's the extraction printed out from Brian Higgins' phone, dated 2/3, meaning February 3rd, 2022. And it is a conversation between the defendant and Mr. Higgins.
Does it extend a number of different dates?
Yes, it does.
Did you look through those conversations or text messages to identify whether there was any animus or motive?
Yes, I did.
I move to introduce those documents as the next exhibit.
I thought you couldn't give any speculation on what the people were feeling because you're not a speculationologist.
Thank
You're not a specologist.
Again, did you
Well,
find any
the
evidence in
Commonwealth's
the
asking
conversation?
questions, Mo, so we don't talk about those things.
Right.
Russian bot.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. So-
Trooper Kenneth, when you studied the materials, the conversation, communications between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe, did you find any evidence shaping your investigation that there was a motive to harm, hurt, or murder Mr. O'Keefe by Mr. Higgins?
No, there was not.
Romantic interest with his girlfriend isn't a
I have no
motive.
further
Yeah.
questions at this time.
Being ghosted, having her ignore him.
Sure.
Not a. You know, in other cases, when you have a unrequited
You were
love,
just
a
asked about
ghosted
Brian Higgins in
lover,
your interview with Brian
they
Higgins.
are
Where did that take
usually people you suspect, but not here.
No, don't think about it.
He's got integrity.
In Sharon at an attorney's office.
at his lawyer's house, correct?
I'm not sure if he resides there, but it was.
You were just asked about Brian Higgins in your interview with Brian Higgins. Where did that take place?
In Sharon at an attorney's office.
At his lawyer's house, correct?
I'm not sure if he resides there, but it was an office.
With his lawyer present, correct?
Yes.
Did you find that unusual?
Objection.
Sustained.
Yeah, I don't think he can comment on him using a lawyer.
He hadn't read him his rights.
No need to know.
No need to, because he wasn't in custody, correct?
Correct.
He was just a witness in a case that you were investigating.
That's correct.
But he asked that you interview him in his lawyer's presence, correct?
Yes.
Why would he use a lawyer in
You were asked about
his rep?
any evidence of Brian Higgins having a motive to murder John O'Keefe just a few minutes ago by Mr. Brennan, right?
Yes.
And you said, no, I didn't find a motive that Brian Higgins would want to murder John O'Keefe. Is that right?
That's right.
What about a motive to confront him? about a girl he was interested in. Did you see that?
I believe the text messages speak for themselves. Everybody heard me read them out loud.
Yep,
So-
the text messages do, but I'm asking you. You were just asked about your opinion, whether or not there was a motive that you found for Brian Higgins to want to murder John O'Keefe. I'm asking you a different question. Did you, in your mind, in your opinion, after having read those texts, find a motive for Brian Higgins to perhaps want to confront John O'Keefe because of jealousy?
If you're asking for my opinion is that he would need to confront Mr. O'Keefe. Mr. O'Keefe was not the one pursuing Mr. Higgins. It was your client that was pursuing Mr. Higgins.
Okay, so, well, text messages, like you said, speak for themselves. You'll agree that show that there was a mutual interest, right? It just wasn't one-sided.
At times there was flattering text messages from both sides, but your client reached out to him first.
Right. I mean, somebody's got to reach out, right? Everybody's got to reach out to somebody.
Reaching out.
Can't have two text messages receive and send.
Depends.
At the same
Maybe
time.
there's not mutual affection for one another. Is that right? Or at least perceived mutual affection.
Sweet Caroline.
I don't understand the question.
Did you see in those text messages, in your mind, a motive that might lead to jealousy on the part of Brian Higgins?
No, I think Brian Higgins was pretty clear in his request for explanation of what the defendant wanted out of this, and stated that he's friends with Mr. O'Keefe. So he wanted clarity from the defendant about what was going on.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't read it to be that he was jealous, as I sit here thinking back on the content.
What about after drinking Jameson and ginger all night long and sending a text that said, well?
Objection.
No, you just had him speculate. He can speculate.
Might that change things?
I don't know what Mr. Higgins' state of mind was. Well, could mean many different things. They could have had a face-to-face interaction, a look.
Did you ask him?
We'd be strictly speculating what was
I feel like you
intended
should
by
have
that.
asked him.
Or what was the intent of communication by that text message.
Well, he knew his integrity.
In a romantic manner. And then seeing her walk in the door with John O'Keefe and sending the text message, well, after having been intoxicated. You see that, detective, as an investigator, as a reasonable, objective investigator, as a possible scenario for Brian Higgins to be jealous about John O'Keefe.
There's a possibility there, but I didn't see it.
Did you explore that possibility when you got all these text messages?
We did not follow up on that aspect based on the totality of the entire investigation.
Did you pull the tape at the waterfall and review the tape as we did here in court?
That happened, yes.
Okay. Did you see on the tape a time just before Brian Higgins left the location where he was confronted by Chris Albert?
Objection.
Change the wording.
Sure. Did you see a circumstance, did you see a situation on that tape where Brian Higgins is standing and Chris Albert physically puts his hand?
Well, I'll go up and smack him with your snake again because Jesus has left this boy again.
I would gladly smack Yuri with my snake. Gladly.
Before he could remember everything, he could read minds, he could do this. You speak English too fast. I no understand. Como habla inglés no goody. Ranasumi porque no habla.
On Brian Higgins' arm, on his left arm.
I don't have a specific memory of that.
You remember?
You looked at it yesterday.
Brian Higgins pulled his arm away and
Friday.
passed Chris Albert over toward the bar, which is where John O'Keefe was standing. See that?
I do remember you pointing that out, but we couldn't tell him who exactly he was looking at based on the video.
Did you see a circumstance?
Did you ask him?
Put his hand on his forehead and began rubbing his forehead like this.
I don't have a memory of that.
Did you see a circumstance in which he then motioned over toward that side of the bar with his left hand?
That I remember, yes.
Did that seem realistic to you? Let me ask it a different way. Did that seem to you as a reasonable interpretation? Hey, come on outside. Or come here.
Very reasonable since they've been invited to 34 Fairview.
Did it look, in your opinion, that was just a hey, let's
hostile?
Did it look more to you like, hey, come outside? Or let's step outside.
The totality of the investigation, the fact that when they stepped outside, there was no confrontation and they were invited to the address. Again, totality of the investigation suggests otherwise.
Let's talk about that totality of the investigation. You're aware that Brian Higgins left first. He was the first to arrive at 34 Fairview, even before Brian Allen.
I am, yes.
And you're also aware that John O'Keefe,
Maybe he was pissed off and took off like a bat out of hell.
one of the last to arrive. They didn't step outside together.
They didn't step outside, but once he was invited, according to your narrative, wouldn't they have a discussion outside where he was invited to come out?
So, Mr. Jackson, I just want to ask you, how much longer?
Not long. I can finish this up if you give me 10, probably 10 minutes.
Okay. Jurors are saying yes. Is it okay with all the jurors? We usually break at 4.
I don't want to overstep. I'm happy to stop now, but I think I can get finished.
I'd like to finish with this witness and not have to bring it back again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate the accommodation. You're aware that, according to the tape, John O'Keefe left about 10 minutes after Brian Higgins, or so.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
You remembered almost to the second when you arrived at the garage. But now they stepped outside. No, they left 10 minutes apart, you numbnuts.
You would agree, as a homicide investigator, not every death starts off as an intended murder, correct?
I will agree to that.
Sometimes a fight could go wrong, and you intend to fight and duke it out. Something goes wrong, something goes south, someone dies, correct?
Objection.
So that's something that people want to be on the scope. So
Yeah.
Beyond the scope, Bev, you let him talk about the Lexus. You
were
let him
asked,
talk about
on
everything that wasn't
redirect
covered in
examination
cost.
about taillight pieces that were found by the CERT team. I want to ask you real quick about that. Your testimony was you recall that the CERT team found a large piece of red taillight material during their initial search. Is that correct?
That's my recollection, yes.
Okay. Did the CERT, you had a debriefing with the CERT team, correct?
Not the CERT team. I had a debrief with the members of our unit at the Canton PD conference room. I do not have a memory of the CERT team being there.
Do you recall ever being told or informed that the CERT team actually recovered maybe 5 or 6 pieces, maybe 7 pieces of small plastic material in addition to the shoe, as opposed to a large piece of red tail?
The memory that stands out to me that I have is that there was a large piece of plastic recovered. It wasn't a shard. It was significant enough that, shown on the photograph taken by Detective Lieutenant Tully.
And do you recall that
was
the
this
CERT
big.
team, or were you ever informed that the CERT team found those, according to the CERT team, within inches of one another, within about a 2-foot square radius?
I don't have a memory of where they found them exactly. I wasn't there.
Okay.
Did you read a
You
report?
were asked about
Jerky butt
the
face.
taillight. You were shown a photograph of the taillight, where almost the entirety of that lens material is missing. It's gone, correct?
Yes.
And you remember talking to Jen McCabe originally, interviewing her within days of this incident happening, correct?
It was the 29th we interviewed.
The day.
That day, yes.
Do you remember her saying that the taillight was cracked/broken?
She communicated that over the phone to Michael Proctor, which was then documented later on in the interview report.
Okay.
From
In that-
earlier.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it was documented within the interview report.
Okay. And in that interview report, it doesn't say the entire lens cap of that taillight is gone, correct?
Correct. The report does not say that, no.
And she didn't describe that, did she?
I don't know what she described to Michael Proctor over the phone.
You pulled out a pair of jeans belonging to Mr. O'Keefe just a second ago.
Yes.
Oh,
And you
yes.
noted that on his, what would be his left rear pocket, there was a stain.
Yes.
You said that was an apparent grass stain and it was green.
Based on my observation here holding them, that's what it appeared. Yes. Maybe dirt, maybe other substances.
That was my question. Did you seek to analyze what that discoloration was from? Or have caused that to be analyzed by the crime lab or anybody else?
The genes were processed. I don't know what their protocol is to analyze it. They process those genes. There's pieces missing from cuttings and stuff like that.
Understood. So as you sit here, you have no evidence at all that those are grass stains, correct?
strictly my experience of knowing grass stains and observing it.
Could be dirt,
Could be.
could be oil or grease.
I don't know about that, but
You don't know because you never checked it.
Stains look brown, doesn't it?
just different parts of the stain. Some has brown, some has green. Different parts of it.
Could you get, in your experience, stains on the back of pants from being dragged?
I've never dragged anybody, so from my experience, I can't tell you.
I didn't ask if you.
What do you mean you've never dragged anybody?
You did. Didn't you do combat crawl with someone on you?
You were definitely in basic training, my man. You've 1000% dragged somebody in your life.
Maybe they don't do that in the Marines. Maybe they put them in wheelbarrows.
Well,
Oh yeah,
don't think so, Mo.
tactical wheelbarrows. That's it's the Marines.
Look,
you
it's
imagine-
eugenic. Do you
hang
think
on,
they gave them
hang
a
on.
real weapon?
This dude was on Marine One. He was on the helicopter detail for the president. You mean that to try to tell me and the rest of the world that you've never like trained an exfil in case some shit went wrong? You've never trained on how to get a person away from a helicopter crash in your life? You are lying through your teeth, Yuri.
Hasn't he been a
Lying through your
firefighter? Is it him or Higgins who used to be a firefighter? Oh, that was Higgins.
Higgins.
But-
Higgins.
Again, you will. I won't talk on behalf of the Marines because I haven't been an American Marine. I was a Danish Marine. We are a little bit different. But you will learn how to grab a harness and run with a person who is down.
He's
Yeah,
full of it.
And-
Look, y'all, I failed basic training and we learned how to do the fireman's carry. Now, I didn't drop my partner. Thank you, Jesus. But I didn't last much longer than that. But yes, even Mo can pick someone up. And the entire time I was like, please don't let me drop him. Please don't let me drop him. Please don't let me drop him.
Well,
That's a stupid
fireman
statement.
carry is one thing where you have them up on your shoulders, but you will learn how to save a body if he goes down by dragging him in his harness, and because you would kind of want him up on his heels so he has as little surface to surface contact, but you don't want him up on your shoulders because you have all your shitty gear on as well, and people are shooting at you. This is. If you need to lie better, or just say possibly. I've dragged my siblings. Don't tell me a Ukrainian don't have a sibling.
I don't know much about Ukraine, so
they are kind of like they are Orthodox Catholics.
oh, well then, yeah. May the children be with you.
But we had where we tied a rope to my brother's bicycle, and then we were on sleds, and he's. You will see what it is to be dragged.
You've never dragged anybody, you've never murdered anybody either, but you're a homicide investigator.
Fuck, this is stupid.
Good one, Jackson.
That was a good one.
My comment says dictates that it was not a drag, a mark, because it would have linear characterizations, and it would be both.
He hasn't pulled anyone across grass, but he has banged them with a car hard enough that they skidded across the ground. Yeah, he could tell. And again, if he says it couldn't be dragged because of the linear mark, so he went flying
Yeah.
and landed flat on his ass
Right.
and stayed there.
Yeah, Bev, Mercy, Jackson, come on. You're killing me. I love you, but you're killing me, dude.
But how can you be this stupid and obtuse?
He's not stupid, Baker. It's intentional. He's
Yeah, but you would lie better.
maybe.
He would lie better if he had a better concept of what words mean and he was a wordsmith. This is him being crafty. He thinks he's getting one over. I mean, he's deflated, but he's still trying to sell it.
Yeah, and no bruises on his tusk cheek.
Buttocks that
Well,
are
wouldn't they have a hard
engaged
time
in
with
contact with
bruises
the ground
with
while
what they
being
do?
dragged.
No, you can see it in the skin.
Okay.
That's more severe bleeding.
It was holding on the left. Without all those possibilities.
Again, my opinion, common sense dictates it was not the case.
But you certainly didn't take any action to investigate forensically what those stains actually were.
I did not know.
By the way, can you lose a shoe from being dragged?
Could you lose a shoe from being dragged?
It depends.
that's
I guess you
impossible.
can, depending on how loose it is.
Well, it has to be loose if you can get knocked out of it.
You said that there was no information that you had regarding Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe having any animosity toward each other prior to January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Liar.
But you did, now let's talk about on January 29th, 2022. In your experience, does drinking alcohol increase the likelihood or increase the possibility of getting into an altercation?
I can promise you.
I
it does.
would say, in my experience, in my opinion, the alcohol could become a social lubricant and exacerbate
Never say
emotions.
lubricant again.
But to
Ew.
speak in a definitive
Ooh.
form here, I can't.
You've heard of beer muscles. That's a common phrase, right?
Liquid courage.
Never heard that before. No,
Beer guts.
Liquid
Ever heard that one?
I've heard of beer gut, but not beer guts.
Oh, for God's
Having the guts
sake.
to walk up to someone you might not otherwise walk up to in a bar because you've had too much.
It's liquid courage.
Is that what beer
No one
muscles
calls that
mean?
beer guts.
I would
Beer
say
guts
maybe
is
liquid
next
courage,
morning.
Even better.
There you go.
What does liquid courage mean?
giving you courage that truly shouldn't be there.
That you might not otherwise have if you weren't drinking.
That
Yeah.
truly shouldn't
Yes.
be there.
I'm trying, Judge.
This man is
I won't be
hurting
much
my
longer.
soul.
You had evidence that Brian Higgins had been drinking most of the afternoon and evening or most of the night, that evening and night, at the time that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed walked into the.
Jamie, if we can't get you moist, we have to get you lubricated. You complain about everything.
Ugh.
Waterfall, correct?
Ugh.
I had information that Brian Higgins had returned from a police officer's funeral and then went to Waterfall after he changed clothes and took a shower.
Went to the hillside before he went to the waterfall and started drinking there, correct?
I don't have an independent memory of that, no.
But you did, at the time, you didn't pull the tape at the time, you didn't pull the tape at CPD that we saw with Brian Higgins on the phone at 1:30 in the morning, correct? You didn't have that information.
I'm sorry, can you
At the time-
give me a reference when
Sure.
at the time?
At the beginning of your investigation, January
The
29th. is
videos
probably
you
the
just
next,
watched,
let's call it a
you
couple months.
dumbass.
You did not have that information, correct?
No, we did not.
And you didn't seek that information from CPD at that time,
No, I had no information that he went there.
okay? And you didn't extract his phone, correct?
That's correct.
And finally, you indicated that you were asked on redirect examination, did you have any evidence that John actually went into the home?
I'm sorry, Daddy Island, but it's Jamie. Jamie has some issues. So Jamie made me do it.
Oh no, that's okay. Last week we were bringing the Farrells home. I had it on the speaker system, and Valhalla said,
no.
"Jesus Christ!" And my middle son, who is more evangelical, was like, "He said the Lord's name in vain," and I was like, "It's Valhalla. It's okay." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't read that in the Bible," and I was like, "Yeah, it's in back.
It's in there. It's
Yeah.
in there.
the back."
It's in the Similion.
So I'm expecting a call when his or his religion teacher says, "Okay, you can't say the Lord's name in vain," and he's going to say, "Yeah, but Valhalla can. My mom said so."
and Ashley hits the nail on the head. She hits something. Wouldn't liquid courage be a colloquial phrase? It actually
Yeah.
would.
It sure
It
would.
would be a euphemism, a colloquial phrase, an idiom.
This guy is an idiot.
He is an idiot trying to use
You
idioms.
ever interview Trooper Guarino
It's almost poetic.
during the course of your investigation, anytime?
Interview him?
Talk to him
No,
about his extraction of John O'Keefe's phone and any of the data that came off of his phone.
no.
You did not realize that Trooper Guarino had information that John O'Keefe took 36 steps covering a distance of some 84 feet that would have placed Mr. O'Keefe inside the residence at 12:32:16.
Objection.
Did you have any information from Trooper Guarino about steps that were logged on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
No, I did not.
Is that it, Mr. Jackson? You said finally, that's what I'm wondering.
May I have just a moment?
Yes.
I'm trying to wrap this up. I only have a couple more things, but I may be able to finish it with one question.
This is a prime
you
example
sit
of a
here now,
half-wit pretending to be
are
mid-wit
you
and
aware
sounding
of
like a
whether or not
dimwit.
there's evidence that John O'Keefe, the phone describes John O'Keefe's phone taking 36 steps, covering a distance of about 84 feet at 12:32 and 16 seconds on the morning of January 29th, 2022.
Objection.
Any words to that? Any word of that?
I'm not, Your Honor.
Okay, the answer is,
The answer was,
No, I'm not aware of that.
all right. Trace, I appreciate you staying late, so to the extent we do not have.
He's not aware of that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So
Thank you.
folks, those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know, and be careful with your social media use. We'll see you tomorrow.
Please rise for the jury.
Let's see if they come back. Nope.
No, Bev had to stay after 4. She ain't coming back.
She could come back to admonish them and say, it says sidebar, so. Well, I'll keep it on the background while we do our rundown.
So do we think that Paulo Balls is going to be tomorrow?
I think the kids will be.
I hate the kids.
I don't mind the
from
kids.
the-
I hate that calling
Why do
the
you hate
kids.
the kids?
No,
though?
I mean, I hate the kids
Dang.
having to testify. From the bottom of my heart, I hate it because they've already been through so much. And it pisses me off that the state is using the kids. It really, really does. I mean, they don't need to be there. They really don't. And it's just all in all scuzzy, in my opinion.
I totally agree. There's no reason, because what will they come and testify? We had an okay relationship. They argued sometimes. That's what they're there to say. And then they will then try and imply, even though we now know there is no, I believe that all the idiots said there's 17 or 27 missing ring videos. We know no proof of tampering with the ring videos. But the nephew will say, well, Karen could potentially, no, she couldn't. And you're going to force these kids who are now, I can't even remember, are they 16 and 13, something like that?
Something like that. 16, 13,
Yeah.
16, 14, something like that.
You will have them come up there. After
12,
spending 3 days with your not lead investigator, who more than proved that they didn't give two fucks about John O'Keefe while he was alive. They didn't even care enough to extract phone data from a guy who turned over evidence that he had some semi-romantic.
Yeah.
I'm not a good smooth talker. If someone sent me a pair of titlets, I would say, yeah, it looks fine. I can't see any mumps. I don't know why you would look for mumps on a pair of titlets, but still, I probably wanted to say moles. But I have no swagger or swagger. But you didn't even want to look into it when they wrote, hey, come over. Can you come to West Rocks? And then that weird, the next, oh, I'm so tired today. I don't think it's because he rocked her world. I think it's because they might have stayed up late and he got a little. As I talked with someone said, I bet you he has the whiskey D also when he's not drinking. And I think that's probably an accurate assessment of that guy. But you didn't find that interesting at all. You didn't look at the videos. Online snoots has found more evidence than the MSP.
Baker, I do have a question since you're closer to Ukraine. Are the dating habits completely different? Like, do the men like club the women and drag them home or something?
No, it's actually very old-fashioned. A lot of young Ukrainian women, you can, if you want, they might have worked as dancers before, but you can buy them. It's a thing Americans do, but and dancers means. But it's
well, they're all
very
working their way through college to become medical doctors and lawyers. I totally approve.
All just to sustain a drug habit. Either way,
Well,
But,
college, you're both gonna, or a, not straight legal pharmaceutical thing. You're still gonna owe money to someone. One's gonna break your legs, and one's gonna garnish your wages. So it's just kind of a, hit or miss.
but no, it's old fashioned in Ukraine, and it's most of the old Eastern Bloc is. Remember, they were locked down until 91, 92. So it's different, and you can tell. And they have the Orthodox Church over there.
The Eastern Orthodox.
Yeah, the Eastern
Ooh.
Orthodox. This after the split, and it's very ambivalent when you meet them because they're very nice, very open, but also it's more old-fashioned because I know a lot of guys go over there to have like stag nights and stuff like that, and you can rent love, but it's hard to find a lady. We have a lot of them actually came up here when the kerfuffle started, and very nice women, very family-oriented, very very proud women as well. But it's a different culture, and especially but the Danish culture contra most cultures is also really, really different. So it's hard to tell, but I would say it's very old-fashioned in Ukraine.
Well, I was wondering if that's why he couldn't pick it up, but he left at 9, so maybe he's just stupid.
But most men are stupid. How many men have you thought, can't he see when you chucked a razor at them in school and said, doesn't he understand what that means? That it's a very complex love language where I was trying to say, hey, I really like your poetry you did the other day. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'll slam your back all the way through. And I felt that in an existential level.
If you want a good representation of how women think versus how men think, watch Hey Arnold. I know it's a cartoon, but Hey Arnold. Yeah, Arnold walks around in a state of obliviousness, and Helga, well, she's my favorite person ever. She just hits people and she's mean, but she secretly loves Arnold, and she's got a deep soul and a shrine.
Move it, football head.
But
I don't know
there
what
you
that
go.
is.
It's a cartoon on Nickelodeon back in the day. It was awesome.
Yeah, it shaped my life and gave me moral lessons without being after school specially.
You hated Hey Arnold? How dare you? Great cartoon.
Don't know.
Okay, how do you feel about As Told by Ginger? Because I'm going to feel real sad if you
Not
don't
sure
like
what
that
one
too.
is.
Serenity is German. Germans have a different humor.
Well, fair point.
Germans don't have humor.
They actually do. That's, I know a lot of wonderful Germans.
I'm pretty sure
You
they
have to say
banned
it
it
all
in
there,
about
that made us again.
1946. They were like the last guy that got up on a podium and started telling jokes. It didn't end well. We got to switch that shit up.
Yeah, totally misunderstood his vibe, and
He was trying to do stand-up and people took him seriously. He was like, oh crap, I better ride this through.
When stand-up hits the meth pipe one too many times, y'all. One too many times.
But
Just say no.
I know we can't be objective because we have a lot of biases. We spent 3 wonderful days in the company of Bukkake.
Ugh.
Normally, it would take me a week to get over that and a lot of electrolytes. But how do we feel it? I think it was. I think he got a little bit back until he showed. I wouldn't have showed those pieces of taillight. To me, they really. If the jury
Brennan?
was on the fence, they would sit there and say, "Are you effing kidding me?"
You found those little tiny pieces 3 days before you found that big giant piece, huh? And Proctor found all of these, you're saying. Okay.
All by his own self. He's a foreigner.
I don't think today went. I don't think it did anything good for the Commonwealth. I think today was more doubt and suspicion laid at the Commonwealth's feet.
And
Go ahead, Baker.
it's a hard one to again. We know all the evidence. I've been looking at. I haven't seen. I've seen one update from Sue Boston, and that wasn't according to this, and I didn't go look for her. But that John Pedotrov, whatever his name is, that called for the police the other day with Aiden, he claimed that the jury believed him and they saw him as a great representative of the MSP. The guy couldn't even admit that it wasn't an honorable investigation. You don't have to. You can say, well, I thought after, I've learned some really bad stuff about Michael Proctor. I still think Michael Proctor is going to be a big problem, but I saw this as the key witness.
So far,
I think that what's the name of the biomechanical engineer? Whalen, maybe.
Witten?
No, you wouldn't.
No.
It is Witten, I think.
Is it
Because
Witten?
Whiffen was the cell phone guy, but Witten or something was the other one.
Chat.
Yeah,
please help.
and
Our brains hurt.
I think he would be, because he will have to directly fight Arca. And Arca, I still see as the best evidence, but I still don't have a timeline in my head when they believe John O'Keefe died.
No, they
14 days
haven't
into a trial.
They haven't even presented, because isn't the state's theory that these steps are not steps? It's actually him getting hit and flying that 84 feet or approximate to that. Isn't that their now new theory that the movement captured was him being hit by the car?
No, that's they just don't think about it.
I don't think it's rupture.
Actually, the Whiffen guy
It is rupture.
kind of implied that he just ran around the roses and fell over and died.
Okay.
Because that's
Well, because Brennan has asked some questions of Whiffen, or I believe it was Whiffen, he asked, could that movement be someone being struck by a car or struck by something and being hit backwards?
yeah, but
Maybe
he
I'm
didn't.
making it up. This is a high pain day, so don't take me with a whole lot of ramen noodle sodium
No,
and MSG.
I'm thinking. He said something, but
Like
I
flying
think
through
we
the
talked
air or
about
something.
because we talked about wouldn't we see a massive acceleration?
Acceleration. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and that's what we had talked about, but I think he did ask a question, but I'm so confused as to what the state's timeline is, what they're planning to say, because we are 3 weeks in and we have not yet gotten to the car and how it hit this man.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's again, we have 14 days. We know all, even though Mo might not have dug as deep as we do. You have the basic timeline of when she's back at home, when they arrive. The jury is sitting there 12:31, 12:32, 2:27. Who, what? You couldn't ask me to paint a timeline right now. I couldn't do it.
Because it keeps changing too. Because some people will adjust their things. Some people are approximating things that they had a perfect timeline for the last time. So everything is so nebulous right now.
Yeah. And I see that as but remember what we talked about the last time. Lally did this. He just dropped a lot of testimony and evidence in front of you and said, it must be something. This time it's more like see, I have a lot of different pieces of evidence. How do they fit together? I don't know. You have to find out. And I would be so effing confused. I'm a heavy note taker when I'm in court. And
same.
I actually the case I had the other day, we had a testimony about her being attacked in a stairwell. And there was a witness who claimed he saw it. He might have had a little drinky poo. And
Yes.
and then he said, well, I was on this level. In Denmark, we'll say the ground level first, second, not like you where you say ground level is first floor. So he said, I was on the first floor and I saw her. It was kind of like stair up, like a little ledge and another stair up, and then there was the next level. And he said, I saw them between the levels, and I saw her being pushed up against the wall. The problem is, he said he was on the first floor, and they were at the third floor, so he couldn't have seen them. And I actually have drawn a picture when he said it, and we were discussing it in there because the other layman said, no, he saw her being slammed against the wall. I said, well, he couldn't have. Why not? I said, because I know these apartment complexes that it's solid stairs and you can't see between the levels. Oh, he didn't know that because he's not from my town. And then we had to say, well, there's no proof that he actually slammed her against the wall. So, and that's only because we did this trial back, the first time was back in June last year or something. And because I had that drawing, I could say, I know that's not correct. But I couldn't do it in this trial because then we go to A, then we go to C, then we go to D, F, A, B, C, D, G, H. It's this constant. And you must wonder, why don't they tell me this? Why won't they tell me how John O'Keefe died?
Well,
we haven't talked about John O'Keefe yet.
Haven't talked about his injuries really, other than to lay out their abrasions or lacerations. But other than that, we have no idea how he died. We have no idea the cause of death. We have no idea the manner of death. We have no idea about any of this yet. 3 weeks in. 3 weeks.
That's 3 weeks. We just started week. We started on the 22nd, so that's 1, 2. Yeah, we just started the 4th real week. I know we haven't had full days, but every day, and we had some days off, but still, they have sat there for 3 weeks, and they don't know how it happened. That's in my world pretty cray-cray. But maybe tomorrow will be the day where everything changes, and we will learn how John O'Keefe died.
Maybe
when he
or
died,
maybe
and
McCabe didn't do it. She's a good girl. Maybe we'll learn more about that.
That's all we know. Jen McCabe absolutely didn't do it. Nothing.
Brian Higgins, he's a good boy too.
I want the love story between Carrie Roberts and paramedic White Knight. Carrie Roberts is a lovely lady and she's beautiful. And how dare you say that? And then suddenly he heard, I hit him, and I possibly got in a fight. It's very interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and how dare Karen be mad for someone who kept telling her to shut the F up? How dare she be irritated with that person?
T-Rex Jackson and the other defense attorney are doing an amazeballs job of confusing the jury. The fact that you guys have no idea what's happening that night is reasonable doubt. Exactly, but it's not Jackson who's doing it. It's Brennan. That's why normally you will have a linear progression. You will start out with the lead investigator or the first arriving officer coming saying, well, I arrived at the scene at 6:02 and I found the decedent. I took in the scene. His girlfriend was acting hysterically, yelling a lot about hit him in some way. I took notice of the body. I could see a big gash to the back of his head. He had severe injuries to his face and to his right arm, which could, in my opinion, be consistent with being hit by a car. And then you'll go to the medical examiner, medical people who said, yeah, we treated him, he had a head wound. Then you'll have the doctor and said, yeah, we did this, we tried to heat him back up, he was dead. But when we looked at the body, the medical examiner will come in and say, yeah, clearly it's a car. But the problem is we have again spent 14 days defending Jen McCabe's honor.
and the Alberts and Brian Higgins and
And
to a
Thompson
lesser
Hall.
extent Michael Proctor's, because according to the state, he just left like he decided this was no longer his calling and he was going to go work for the Food Network. Like,
I want to work
like
for
he
the Food
just
Network.
he honorably left because he had dishonored, like he's going to go commit Sudoku. And yes, I know it's not that word, but I don't know if, YouTube gets really pissed off about the other one.
Will we ever know how John died? I know it wasn't from a car. No, you will never ever find out what happened to John O'Keefe. There will never be justice for John O'Keefe. I'm sad to burst your bubble. At most, there will be some firings, but most likely not. Trooper Proctor is probably the only one who will ever face any consequences in this case. The investigations was way too shoddy, so unless someone talks, you will never find justice for John O'Keefe.
And
Karen
to
Reed
clarify,
could go to prison.
Trooper Proctor has already gotten his the most punishment he'll get. Like nothing further will happen to Proctor. Nothing further.
And in 3 years, he will be head of security for someone's something as a payoff for shutting the F up. Unless the feds go in and pressure him, you will never hear what happened in this case. Never.
He'll get a security contract from Canton Township.
Yeah. I'm sorry to break your bubble. The feds won't save anyone. You will never get justice for John O'Keefe. Karen might get prison time, but John will never get justice. And that's the sad truth. Hey, Helen, see you tomorrow. Get to bed.
Bye, Helen.
Yeah, he got lost 5 days. Is court coming back? No, we are leaving. But before we go.
Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End. Every morning at 8 a.m., I do about a 1 hour stream, headlines, true crimes, and all the absurdity in the world. I also have 6 children that are wild and feral, so, it happens. Oh, and tomorrow, Cape Cod Bev will be in the house after I come back from the dentist. So, Cape Cod Bev.
Outstanding. What's going on, y'all? I'm Valhalla Awaits. I've got 24-hour goat cam still up at the moment, although that's probably winding down fairly quickly because, it's just going to be an empty stall once the babies get up in the herd. Otherwise, you can find me here. We do Lego every other couple of Saturdays. We do a painting stream with Diva every couple of Sundays, and we got a little bit of everything going on my channel. Come check me out. Subscribe if you're not. Appreciate you.
And I'm just here pushing buttons, messing up my camera, and sending thumbs up when someone sends me a message, because I have now learned that is the American way to acknowledge. Don't you have that little way you can see if people have read your message?
For WhatsApp, you do. You have the little checks and they turn blue when they've read them.
You don't have that on, because I can see if someone
iPhone
reads
does
my text, because I have a superior phone. I'm on an Android.
I don't think my Android shows me that.
Well, American crap.
I didn't choose to convert to Apple. My husband was Apple, so to marry in.
Ugh.
Well, I hate forced religions, but sadly, it happens in some marriages.
Mr. Mo was hot. It was a trap.
That's awful bold coming from a Viking.
We didn't force a religion on anyone. We killed people of a different religion. That's totally different.
That's true.
But it's this heresy.
Jen! Misreads.
Yes.
Jen!
Get cut and dry. Pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right? Pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right?
Objection.
Pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right?